It's an uphill climb for the Buffalo Sabres following their loss to Montreal last night, and now the Sabres do trail that series 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow night in Montreal, and for more on yesterday, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. From this morning, there was good news on the injury front. Head coach Lindy Ruff did say Owen Power spoke with him this morning, saying he felt better than he expected and was receiving treatment when the media was speaking to Ruff. We'll see more on that tomorrow, closer to game time. In terms of game action tonight, there are no games. Vegas punched their ticket to the Western Conference Final last night, so the next game will be on Saturday when the Sabres take on Montreal. Day 2 of the PGA Championship is underway. Aldrich Pottinger sits at the top of the leaderboard. It's 5 under for him, and we'll get more on the tournament so far. Brian Kosiel joining the show a little bit later on at 5 o'clock. And we also have a full day of baseball. The Bisons host the Woo Sox just after 6 o'clock. You can listen to that game over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. Blue Jays are at Detroit at 6:45. And then we've got a 3-game Subway Series starting tonight as the Mets host the Yankees at 7:15. And catch every take, every reaction, and every big Buffalo sports moment live now on YouTube with Jeremy and Joe in the morning and Schop and the Bulldog in the afternoon. Watch your favorite WGR hosts anytime, anywhere, live on air, live on YouTube. It's brought to you by Belknap Heating and Cooling. For more money and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for West New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it, and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need a spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Hi there, happy Friday. Here we are again with all of your requisite gulps and woofs and yelps
Whelps,
and
whelps,
and
whelps, yeah.
Ugs and crikeys.
And even the last one.
Jesus?
Yeah,
Was last night a Jesus? I don't think that was so much. Jesus for me, if I may be allowed to get political this one time, was like game 3. Jesus, they can't even match this team. Last night, I don't know. You said it too earlier to me. We were talking, and was that last night? Were they overmatched?
Yeah, I guess, like the 2 goals that really knocked it out, like the 4th and 5th goals late in the second period were more, they're more, not so much Jesus as like, ew.
Ugh. Yikes.
Like, what?
The 4-3 goal on Luukkonen, the Thompson penalty, right?
The Thompson penalty, like the whole, it was the second, I was in the same spot by the end of the second period that I was in during game 4. I said, yesterday to Greg Wyshynski, and I said a couple of times to you, I felt like in the second intermission of game 4, they're done. They can't keep up. They're taking these penalties. This feels like it's over. And, they managed to play a great third period that night and get out of there. And, last night is a tough one. Is it all on the goalie? I mean, it might be. I mean, there's other stuff. But the difference in the game ends up being their guy made a ton of high-danger saves. After allowing 3 goals on 4 shots to start the game, he stabilized, and our guy it got worse as it went on. I think, because I know what it feels like now watching that third period. It was just like they're not coming back. The early penalty and another power play goal at 6-3. I mean, oh my gosh, right? But 7 or 8 minutes into the second period, I thought they were going to blow that team out of the building. It's 3-2, and they are controlling the game in the second period. They had how many? 4 at least really great chances, including a Thompson breakaway to get a 2-goal lead. I just thought they were going to. I said yesterday at one point, like one of my thoughts I had about today is like this is their turn to put it on them. They're gonna run away from this team. And then I don't know. There's an icing and then a tying goal, and the game immediately flipped right after that goal to tie the game. Suddenly Montreal's got them hemmed in, and it just went haywire. So it's not like they were overmatched all night. I kind of, it was a weird first period. There's no arguing that. It's very sloppy and chances and weird goals and whatever. But man, the way that second period started, I thought they got this, and then it just turned, and then the goals, and then so. I'm fighting hard to not be completely despondent because there was, there was a moment in a game last night where that leaves you feeling demoralized, where I thought, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know if you share this opinion. I haven't really talked to a lot of people about it, but I thought almost halfway through the second period they had this.
Well, I really wanted 4-2 to that point. Like they were really close a few times to get to 4-2, and they never did. How bad were the first 3 goals? Like, they're not classic bad goals. In fact, the Montreal goals against were sort of uglier on the goalie, I think. 2 and 3. Maybe not 1. One's a double bouncer.
I mean, I don't know. You could – I think there's a leg to stand on all 3 that, to me, aren't indicative of a goalie that I'm worried. I wasn't really worried about him on any of those 3 goals.
Okay, let me
honestly
say this then. Worried about him. You would have a keener eye for this. And I was at the game, and I think this kind of thing can be easier when you're not, when you're watching on TV, but not always. I didn't like him ever last night. I mean, there were a couple saves where he looked behind him, and even the best save of the night, according to the arena, and I would probably not say different, is another one where he's like way out here and his back is to the net. I just think, is this not correct that sort of the bad signs on Luukkonen are that even when the puck doesn't go in?
Yeah.
I mean, the first one is the first one an overplay. Is the second one where he's just sort of not? I'm not sure if it's fair. Like, to me, all 3 of those goals, and then 4 is ugly.
4 is ugly, and 5 is maybe worse than 4.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah,
is
it's another one.
Is he too deep?
It's another one where he just doesn't have the pad down. It went underneath him.
Suzuki.
He just wasn't sealed up there.
Okay. My theory last night was, if they're not winning, he comes out early. Like if the Sabres don't score at all, 2-0, 3-1, he comes out. Because to me, knowing what I think I know about the bad signs with him, they were evident. I mean, I don't want to say it could have been worse, because you can always say that almost about any game.
That might be right. I don't know. There definitely is an accusation that you could make that he overplayed the first goal, but I might say rightly so. Okay. Of course it looks bad when you come out like that and there's a back door available, but I think you got to have some faith that your guys are going to defend that. There were plenty of people around. It's just Caulfield beat them all to that spot. And so I think you got to trust that somebody's going to get him, and you're coming out to make the save on the guy that's got the puck right in front of you, who's also kind of open and could shoot. So I give him some leeway there. The second one is the one that's off the skate. I don't know. I have a hard time getting on him about that. But look, I don't need to prop him up. He blew it. The two that came at the end of the second period are bad enough. That it ruined the night. His redemption arc lasted 1 game. Right. It's really, it was such a cool story that could have been written, guy loses job, gets back in, and never looks back. And that's over.
Well, I can't blame Lindy for it.
No, I don't think so either.
It wouldn't even be fair to, because I wasn't sitting here yesterday saying that Lion should go back in. It wouldn't be fair to do it. I really can't. It's not over yet. First, let me say that first to this point, but it's been a story of the season that he's been able to go to both guys, and that hasn't let him down. And I just think the way the scoring went last night, Ruff was kind of trapped. I wonder if he would agree with this, that he could have had an instinct to pull his goalie earlier. Even 4-3. 4-3 is gross. But it's 4-3. And you're getting late in the second period, and that's a weird time to make that move, as bad as that was. Then almost immediately it's 5-3, and now you're jammed, and the period's almost over.
And then, of course, he's coming out at the second intermission. Like,
I didn't assume it.
I didn't assume it either, but somebody asked me, like, halfway through the intermission, I was, like, scrolling through Twitter and I commented, said, I would. And then, 5 minutes later, he's out. Okay. So I give me another credit for getting the goalie choice right. I thought he would switch, and he did. But by then, just too late. And
they had a lot of looks in the third, in and around, before and after the goal for 6-3. Talk about kind of close to domination in the second for the first, however many, 8 minutes or whatever that was. And the third, I mean, you're still not dead at 6-3, but it's 6-3. I mean, your odds aren't great. Well, the series isn't over, and I'm in no mood to, hammer them. I thought middle of the series, after game 3, that's when we made our list of fun words, and I don't know that they have this, but they won 4, and last night, for a lot of it, was right there. But yeah, I mean, walking out, I fell into a couple of different conversations, quick reaction to the game, a couple of listeners who asked me, and I'm like, they just needed more saves, I think.
Yeah.
And, their goals, they were fortunate. There was a lot of pressure, but they're not scoring these, and this is where it gets to Tuck and Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And I might put them in that order. Like, they're not scoring these open net from the slot, bing bang kind of goals that Montreal is. I mean, what is the tally now even for the series? Like 21-13 in goals, I think it might be. Like their goals are coming from just consistent pressure and screens, and that's the way they do it. Almost a lot of their goals in the series have been on screens, and that's fine. But it's different from what Montreal is winning with, and that's often now their top guys are getting off.
Their top guys are going. They were definitely going last night, and welcome Demidov to the party because he makes the play on the fourth goal. Like, it's gross that it goes through him, but that play he makes to stop like he does on that rush and shoot it like as quickly as he did is elite talent. And then, pick the corner on the sixth goal because he hadn't scored all playoffs, that guy, yet. And that's a prodigious talent. And they got him going, and the top line is now going, and our top guys are just
ghosts.
They are, and hockey and the conversation that has proceeded today even sort of cautions you. I mean, you can ignore it, but I feel like being careful about how hard I want to be on those guys because I don't know what kind of shape they're in right now.
Well, that's the thing. I think maybe more of Thompson than Tuck for this. But, I mean, the crowd, being in the arena last night, and you would know from Game 2. Game 2 was his disaster game.
Yep.
The crowd is very restless now on Thompson. Like, the spotlight is squarely on him, and it's not happening. Either end of the ice, like, every facet of his game is suffering. And everybody notices it. And it's almost hard to believe that he isn't hurt. Really? Like, He's not dealing with some sort of pretty bad injury that would cost him games in the regular season. It's almost hard for me to believe. I don't want to go all the way to assume that, but we'll find out whenever it ends.
Yeah.
It's just so off.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is hockey gets stuck here. What does he say to Paul? It's none of your business. He's wrong, actually. He's wrong. It is the public's business. But hockey is not going to tell you.
Right.
The team doesn't want you to know because then the other team will know. The player doesn't want you to know. The player, what is in his head right now, Thompson? Like, if only these people who are so agitated with me knew. I mean, this could be wrong, but it's hard for me to believe he isn't dealing with something significant because it's just so off.
Right.
So he won't tell you. They won't tell you. Do they not have an obligation? I mean, is it just all out the window in the playoffs with injuries? I mean, the Flyers get done and there's their list, and the Bruins get done and there's their list, and if the Sabres lose, here comes their list. And what happened to sort of there being an obligation? Hockey just decides not to care and not enforce it. So we're all left to wonder. And maybe Tuck is the same. I don't know.
You almost have to hope so. I mean, but that cuts both ways. Like, you want, I think, for your own peace of mind with them moving forward. Tuck, they don't have to move forward with Tuck. I mean, that decision could be made for them if they let it, because his contract is up. But you want to be able to explain away their failures by saying they're not. It's not that they're just not up to the moment, or that Montreal has some otherworldly plan for dealing with players who have produced consistently all year long and even year over year. That they're not just failing to come through. There's got to be something else that is ailing them that's causing this. So, and that can be a faulty premise at inception, and you have to know that, right? But I think if you really, I have an easier time with Thompson than I do Tuck. I just never noticed Tuck. I'm never seeing him in plays. I saw him in the play last night on the third Montreal goal because he's the one chasing Hudson down toward the net front, and then the pass comes across, and of course Timmins is out of position again. I don't know. Somehow I got friends texting me. Somehow Timmins is a -7, and they only gave up 6 goals. I don't know what happened.
Does Hudson not walk around Tuck?
Yeah, I think
from the point. On the
yes, and
draw?
he sort of flails at him. But Thompson is more prominent, and I was talking to Owen before I came to work today, and I'm surprised nobody has really gone and tried to do a deep dive, looking at all the footage that there is to try to figure out when something could have happened to either one of these guys. And a part of that would be, I feel like Thompson is still getting teed up for one-timers, and you're seeing him shoot that shot. But he couldn't lift the puck over the goalie last night when he had him sprawled. He makes that move and is going to wait him out. And that play, I think you're hoping to flip it over the goal. You've waited him out long enough. You're still in position. You've got an angle, and he's going to be sprawling. You got to flip it up, and he couldn't.
It wasn't close.
Right.
It was just Dovish didn't even his glove.
Right. It was just along the ice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, how many wrist shots have I seen him take? Right? Is he taking – maybe he's got something, whatever is bothering him on his hand, his thumb, his wrist, his forearm, his elbow, whatever, allows him to use the hammer, the slap shot, but the wrist shot maybe – and that would be stick handling and everything that you've seen him sort of get tangled up with. It would sort of explain all that away. And I don't know that I'm right because I haven't gone through either and looked at whether he's taken any wrist shots versus slap shots. But I just wonder if there's some limitation there, or if he just couldn't get the puck up in that moment when he had the goalie down.
Well, it's just almost like last night, it felt like it's almost every shift.
Yeah.
There's some play that you can't believe. And I think we haven't talked about this yet, but were they kind of sniping at each other after the game by the quotes? You have Luukkonen mentioned defense.
Luukkonen complimented Montreal's defense in a way that read to me. I saw that in I think a Luke Fox Sportsnet column or article. And I read those quotes and went, oh, dude.
And then there was Dahlin, too. We let some tough goals in. I mean, you can't win, right? Because anybody can interpret that.
Yep.
Brian had a tweet last night. Dahlin was asked about their best players being their players or best players. Yep, simple as that. Does he mean us, them? I don't even know what he means there, but it felt like maybe Luukkonen was.
That's what that read like.
Quote, I've got to be better, and overall we need to be better defensively.
Yeah.
He's been around long enough to know what that sounds like.
When he observed that, I think, the difference between their guy and my guy is that they're defending better, basically is what he said. Dude, you're in trouble here.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see him again.
No, I don't. We'll see. I mean, maybe everybody there knows what he really meant and maybe even agrees with him. I don't know, but I did not like that as the first thing I read him having to say after the game, tagged with "I have to be better." Now I don't know what order he said everything in. You can present the quotes in any order you want in a piece like I read, but I just don't think it's a good idea to compliment the other goalie by saying their defense is better when you give up, when you have that night.
It's not shocking that you would start to hear, of some potential fractures, but it's definitely not ideal.
Nope.
It's not the time for it. If we don't see him again, then maybe that's that. I'm choosing not to worry about tomorrow night, the Sabres coming apart as a team. We'll see what it looks like, but I'm choosing not to worry about that. They've won too much, and they're too close to, it's not 3-0 where you might have that in a series. But there always are conclusions you can draw. When it comes to Tuch and Thompson, when it ends, we'll take what they tell us, because it's just so unfortunate how these two guys, and when you have the Canadians buzzing like they are, you're playing at such a disadvantage. I mean, in the crowd last night, we're all like, do you bench them?
Right.
Do you just take them out?
I know.
Who do you have, in your lineup or in reserve where you can actually make that move for Game 6 of the second round? I just don't think you can.
No, you don't.
But it's possible that Thompson would have been out for a month if it were the regular season with whatever he's got, because it's been about that long. When did he scare us by missing that one morning? Was that even before the playoffs? There was a morning, maybe they had a chance to clinch and he wasn't there. Like, oh, what's wrong? But he does play, and they just blow it off. And maybe Tuch had one of those too. I'm not sure. So you've got your best line is nowhere. And it's hard for me to imagine that just changes.
Right. That's the thing about feeling, how do you feel? Do I want to give them a chance in Game 6? Of course. But it's hard to see if that doesn't change, and I don't know what would change. Another night's sleep?
I know.
Them staying away from the rink? I mean, it's been so rank that I just don't think a switch is going to flip. And now the gap between the top players on Montreal and the top players on the Sabres is growing, because those guys are starting to feel it. And that makes it even more challenging. And I'm watching these games going, there's just only so much Doan, Benson. There's only so much they can do. It's just they're in really tough. I like Quinn again last night. He's battling in a way that I never thought he was capable of. Quinn, he's winning battles. He's working to get his own shot. He doesn't always get it off, but he is working like a dog. But there's no goals. It's just nothing. He had the one that got called back in Game 3, in Game 4. But
you had the tip last night.
Yeah, I just don't know how much can I expect the guys that have been sort of carrying them. I don't think I can ask them to do any more. This is another night where Byram, to me, is just, that has fallen apart.
Scrambling.
I don't think they get through round 1 without him playing the way he played, and he is killing them in this round. I just think he doesn't have it anymore. So I don't know. Maybe put him on the list. Is he injured too? Everybody's injured. Oh my gosh, with the excuses. So it's the playoffs. Montreal's probably got guys who are hurt too, but they're coming through. So I don't. It tangles you up because you don't know. I came with a clear conscience, just open fire on these guys, because I think they've earned enough trust. I know they're better than this,
and the games are still really close. They're not always really close. There are stretches, but the Sabres have them too. How about the Quinn moment in the first period? I think it's already 3-2 when they're just dancing, crossing the zone back and forth, and it ends up on Timmins' stick. Quinn doesn't shoot it, comes around this guy, goes back around that guy, and there is Timmins with the puck right in the slot, and the shot is blocked. He's like, that's a contest. If you had a contest where you would get to shoot from, and if you scored, you would win a car or something, you would put the puck right there, just like a quick snapshot, something like that, and he doesn't get the puck to the goalie on that. It's Timmins, but still. And it's just all Quinn. How many miles did he cover on that one shift, just in the offensive zone alone, circling and all of it? And it got them to that opportunity, and it busted. We'll look for your thoughts on all this next. We gave Sam Panayotovich the day off. We'll talk to Joe Yerdon and Brian Kosiel today. Get a little golf in with Brian, too. Also, some Bills schedule stuff. Didn't really spend hardly any time on that yesterday, but, it's interesting.
Got a little more room today.
Should be the case. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. This is WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfalo, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
We haven't talked about this yet, but were they kind of sniping at each other after the game by the quotes? Like you have Luukkonen mentioned defense.
Luukkonen complimented Montreal's defense in a way that read to me. I saw that in I think a Luke Fox Sportsnet column or article. And I read those quotes and went, oh, dude.
And then there was Dahlin, too. We let some tough goals in. I mean, you can't win, right? Because anybody can interpret that.
Yep.
Brian had a tweet last night. Dahlin was asked about their best players being their players or best players. Yep, simple as that. Does he mean us, them? I don't even know what he means there, but it felt like maybe Luukkonen was
That's what that read like.
Quote, I've got to be better, and overall we need to be better defensively.
Yeah.
He's been around long enough
to
know what that sounds like.
When he observed that, I think, the difference between their guy and my guy is that they're defending better, basically is what he said. Dude, you're in trouble here.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see him again.
No, I don't. We'll see. I mean, maybe everybody there knows what he really meant and maybe even agrees with him. I don't know. But I did not like that as the first thing I read him having to say after the game, tagged with, I have to be better. Now, I don't know what order he said everything in. You can present the quotes in any order you want in a piece like I read. But I just don't think it's a good idea to compliment the other goalie by saying their defense is better when you give up, when you have that night.
It's not shocking that you would start to hear, of some potential fractures, but it's definitely not ideal.
Nope.
It's not the time for it. If we don't see him again, then maybe that's that. I'm choosing not to worry about tomorrow night, the Sabres coming apart as a team. We'll see what it looks like, but I'm choosing not to worry about that. They've won too much. Then they're too close to, it's not 3-0 where you might have that in a series. Well, the series isn't over, and I'm in no mood to, hammer them. I thought middle of the series, after game 3, that's when we made our list of fun words, and I don't know that they have this, but they won 4, and last night, for a lot of it, was right there. But, yeah, I mean, walking out, I fell into a couple of different conversations, quick reaction to the game. A couple of listeners who asked me, and I'm like, they just needed more saves, I think.
Yeah.
And, their goals, they were fortunate. There was a lot of pressure, but they're not scoring these, and this is where it gets to Tuck and Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And I might put them in that order. They're not scoring these open net from the slot, bing bang kind of goals that Montreal is. I mean, what is the tally now even for the series? 21-13 in goals, I think it might be. Their goals are coming from just consistent pressure and screens, and
right.
That's the way they do it. Almost a lot of their goals in the series have been on screens, and that's fine. But it's different from what Montreal is winning with, and that's often now their top guys are getting off.
Their top guys are going. They were definitely going last night, and welcome Demidov to the party because he makes the play on the fourth goal. It's gross that it goes through him, but that play he makes to stop like he does on that rush and shoot it as quickly as he did is elite talent. And then, pick the corner on the 6th goal because he hadn't scored all playoffs, that guy yet. And that's a prodigious talent. And they got him going, and the top line is now going, and our top guys are just
ghosts.
They are Yeah, and hockey and the conversation that has preceded today even sort of cautions you. I mean, you can ignore it, but I feel like being careful about how hard I want to be on those guys because I don't know what kind of shape they're in right now.
Well, that's the thing. I think maybe more.
You get in a series like this and you're struggling a little bit. I think he's lost just a little bit of confidence, trying a little bit too hard to make that extra play. The biggest thing is you got to move your feet. Always move your feet. Get your feet moving, whether it's through the neutral zone, whether it's you're challenging at the blue line. That line just hasn't been quite connected. And I think it all comes down to, skating on pucks in the offensive zone. If you want to go to a couple games there in Boston in the first period, the game 6, how well they moved inside the zone, feet have to get moving.
Lindy Ruff, Alex Tuck in mind with those comments. Game 6 in Montreal tomorrow night at 8. Game 7 would be Monday night here at 7:30. Not like in the
at the studios.
It'd
be weird, yeah.
We haven't gotten that good.
No.
We don't have the hotels.
Right.
To host an
NHL
playoff
that,
game, to host a Game 7.
Yeah.
Here in Amherst, we don't have the hotels.
Lindy chose to keep everyone away from the rink entirely. Like often, that's not uncommon this playoff run, but usually they'll meet and go over video, and he didn't even have them do that today. He just said, stay home. We all know what we have to do. And I liked his message about look, the adversity, sure, but we're in a spot here. We're one of 5 teams still playing. We got a chance to go play in a Game 6 to force a Game 7. Like, that's it. We're just may not even skate tomorrow morning, he said. And he's pressing every button that there is on the keypad, I think, at this point, trying to get them to hopefully relax and play their best game tomorrow night.
I mean, to his credit, I would say.
Yeah.
Here's Art with us. Hi, Art.
What's up, Mr. Schop? It's Carrie's son. I used to be your neighbor.
Hi.
Also a former Saturday morning hoops instructor for Dr. J. Schop and a former assistant coach of Joe Kelly's T-ball team.
Cool.
Bills are opening at Houston. Y'all are welcome on my air mattress. But I wanted to talk about our top 4 defense. Bulldog always calls them the superpower.
Mm-hmm.
It's so aggressive. We do the high cycling, and I feel like Montreal figured it out a little bit. And I feel like Montreal is one of 4 or 5 teams that could actually take advantage of it. Maybe Colorado and Carolina too, and they could score at any time. And I just want to know what y'all think. If we had made it through this round, would Carolina just have taken advantage of it too, or am I kind of off on that?
I don't know. I mean, they're a very strong defensive smother you type of team. So maybe it would have been an antidote to their style.
I still do want to find out.
Yeah, we still might. So want to leave that possibility open. It's intimidating looking at them from afar here. They're 8-0 in the playoffs, and they just seem impenetrable. But get me there. So yeah, I mean they're D. That's why Byram, to me, looking like he's on fumes is such a concern. He was such a horse for them in the Boston series. I mean, I couldn't count how many times he just skated the puck out of trouble. Just, I got this guy right on him, just a couple of strides and a quick turn, and he's created 2 feet of space, and he's in control. And that has stopped happening. He's still trying to get in the zone and move around in the zone, but him just lugging it is seemingly, I haven't noticed it the last couple of games. And now Power, I mean, I don't know. I mean, credit to him to coming even back to the bench after how ugly that looked. That looked really nasty. And, I think might even be another indicator of how many guys are already playing hurt that he felt he needed to get back out there. And just hope he's okay, because he's probably going to be playing at least hampered somewhat if he plays. We don't even know that. I mean, he was getting treatment. Lindy said he feels better than they thought. But, I mean, that could mean anything. Because when you watch that, you could have thought that's a broken leg, that's a broken ankle, that's an ACL, anything. He really tangled up. So hopefully he can play, but I'm not expecting him to be 100%. And, if he plays at all, they're in real tough.
Nice to hear from you, Art. Tell your parents hi. Let's go to Mark next. Hi, Mark.
Hey, gentlemen. I just want to pick up on what Bulldog was talking about with Thompson. And I think you're on the right track there. I think if he does have an injury, which it sure looks like he does, I'm thinking it's his wrist as well. I mean, you watch that kid, and he stick handles that puck like I've never seen before. I mean, the kid is good. He's got some good hands. But watching him the last 3 or 4 games, he's losing control of that puck too easy. Yeah. And I never really saw him do that in the regular season. And that leads me into the play where he came in alone. He couldn't lift that puck up over his pad. Mm-hmm. I mean, that could be significant. And like Bulldog said, I think it's a wrist injury too. I think, I mean, they're all playing hurt. They all got injuries at some point in this year of the season. You know what I mean? But that's all I had for you guys. I totally agree with you, Bulldog. I think he's got like a serious wrist issue, and it's affecting his stick handling and his shooting. Then real quick,
Mark, before you move on, I'm on the same page. Do you care that they don't tell you that?
I mean, I've been watching hockey like you guys for a long time. I mean, I had a stuffed animal that I nicknamed Roger Crozier. That's how long I've been watching the Sabres, okay?
Love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, when they get injured, they tell you low body injury or upper body injury. So for them not to tell you that he's injured, I'm not surprised at that. I mean, even when they have a shoulder injury or a knee injury, it's lower body or upper body. I mean, so I'm used to that,
The one thing about it, though, go ahead.
No, I just want to let you guys know. I want to give a shout-out to my brother Scott and my cousin Chuck because they listen to you guys just as religiously as I do.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate that.
I think the one thing about I'm certainly not surprised either that hockey plays secrets with their injuries.
Yeah, the question is, should it be different?
The question is it okay? Yes. And the one thing it does, while this is never a thing that fans are up in arms about. In fact, this is sometimes where they sort of turn against the media. If the media makes a point about transparency, well, why should they have to tell you? Well, they're actually telling you through us, but why should they have to tell Paul?
That happened last Friday, yeah. And people were all over Paul for asking a perfectly legitimate question that any Sabres fan who's really clued in was asking while they're watching him play.
Right. So it's no surprise. And it's not even an outrage because it's so typical. What it does, however, if Thompson indeed is injured, as we all think, it makes him look bad. Until they lose, and then they go, well, he had a broken wrist. And we all go, oh, well, that makes sense.
That explains a lot.
I wish I hadn't booed him for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
That's the thing. And Thompson, it's the culture. And he wouldn't be surprised by it either, and he's probably on board with it. He doesn't want to answer Paul's question about an injury because then what? Then he's a target, and then it's sort of against the grain.
Yeah, and he's furthermore, he's the guy that copped to an injury in the playoffs, and nobody does that. You're just supposed to keep what are you supposed to say when you're asked that question? Like we don't want you to lie, but you're in hockey, you're supposed to lie. You're supposed to say, I just got to be better. I feel fine. Until you can have a news conference at the end of the year and either you or the organization in some way lets us know, yeah, he's been wearing a splint for 3 weeks or something. Like, I don't know. But that's the, is that the way that it should be? I think almost unequivocally no. It should not be like that, but it is. And it's one of these things that hockey sort of enjoys, I think, by being, if this isn't too clumsy, sort of in the shadows a little bit more than the NFL is. Like the NFL, all these sports are partnered up with gambling entities. So that right there is a reason you'd want to know if a guy is hurt or not. Am I betting on you to score goals in a game when you can't even lift the puck? Like, maybe I should know that, before I keep doing it, or, whatever. You do your own thing there. But part of the reason the NFL, I believe, has always felt like they need to be as transparent as they are, and they're not even fully, but still, there's an injury report, and it's official, and if you hide stuff, you get in trouble. Or you're supposed to anyway. Like, teams have been docked draft picks for lying about injury reports and not reporting injuries. The NHL is just sort of like, yeah, we're just over here, and like 2 million people watched our game, and they can kind of get away with it.
I think even the NFL gets away with a lot, don't you?
Yes, but
95%.
There is still I think we know when a guy is. It's a big deal if you find out a guy was nursing an injury. And like afterward, like always happens in hockey, like we're talking about, that's a controversy in football. If you find out that this guy was missing practices, but you never listed him, and I think maybe hockey could use a dose of that.
Hockey doesn't practice when you get to the playoffs.
That's right.
They have here and there, but those aren't. It's not on the same kind of schedule as football. I don't know. It's just disappointing that he's dealing with whatever it is, and even maybe Tuck. I don't think it's as obvious with Tuck. Maybe it's like a knee or something that's sort of just kind of wrecking him. I don't know what's going on there. It's a tougher guess for me, but it's just tough when there's so much that we care all about this so much and don't get to know if there's really a good reason why certain guys are not at their best.
Right, because if these guys were 100% healthy, I mean, everybody's whatever. If there wasn't something directly wrong with a part of Thompson's body that explains these plays he's made or failed to make, then you'd be terrified of your future with him. I would be. Like, wait, what? Like, these are the biggest games of your life. Well, he was in the Olympics. Whatever. These are the biggest games of your NHL career, anyway, with your team, and this is your performance? Like, I would never stop shredding him, but I feel like I can't because my instinct is there's got to be something wrong, dude. You can't be that bad all of a sudden.
Here's Chris next. Hi, Chris.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Long-time listener, huge fan. Just to touch on Tage and his injury, I was, potential injury. I do think, his wrist is definitely injured. And, at what point does the coaching staff really say, hey, obviously this is one of our best, premier players here, but he's becoming a liability. He's not producing. And, I mean, if you look at even his passing, I mean, his passes aren't crisp. His stick handling isn't where it should be. He's not scoring, and he's becoming a liability in the D zone. So I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, the question really then becomes like let me say it this way: if Osland were healthy, I think you could have a conversation about whether or not to just pull him out, and maybe a couple days of rest could do him good, and because. Osland is not Tage Thompson, but you'd have a healthy player in there. But he's not, and, I'm not taking Tage Thompson out so I can put Tanner Pearson in. I think Tage Thompson, there's still, he gets the opportunity he got last night in the second period, and he almost scores. Maybe he makes that play tomorrow night. Maybe there's a different move. Maybe, I don't know what, maybe. But I think I still got to keep going with him even in this dilapidated state I'm in.
You also had a second period power play that was almost identical to the Benson goal that won them game 4, where it's Thompson at the circle, down low. I think it was Quinn and not Doan. And then into the slot to Benson, who's at the far post on this one, backdoor.
And just missed it.
Went
off his feet and off the post.
Thompson is a cog. The power play has been a disappointment too, and I know what I'm saying here, but to replace him is not simple.
Yeah, no.
So I wouldn't do it either. Mike Schop and the Bulldog back after this here on WGR. Here we are again with all of your requisite gulp of Thompson than Tuck for this. But, I mean, the crowd being in the arena last night, and you would know from game 2. Game 2 was his disaster game.
Yep.
The crowd is very restless. Outlet now Liquor, on Thompson. the place, the spotlight is squarely on him, and it's not happening. Either end of the ice, every facet of his game is suffering. And everybody notices it. And it's almost hard to believe that he isn't hurt. Really? Like, he's not dealing with some sort of pretty bad injury that would cost him games in the regular season. It's almost hard for me to believe. I don't want to go all the way to assume that, but we'll find out whenever it ends.
Yeah.
It's just so off.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is hockey gets stuck here. You know, what does he say to Paul? It's none of your business. He's wrong, actually. He's wrong. It is the public's business, but hockey is not going to tell you.
Right.
And the team doesn't want you to know because then the other team will know. The player doesn't want you to know. The player, what is in his head right now, Thompson? Like, if only these people who are so agitated with me knew. I mean, this could be wrong, but it's hard for me to believe he isn't dealing with something significant because it's just so off.
Right.
So he won't tell you. They won't tell you. Do they not have an obligation? I mean, is it just all out the window in the playoffs with injuries? I mean, the Flyers get done and there's their list, and the Bruins get done and there's their list, and if the Sabres lose, here comes their list. And what happened to sort of there being an obligation? Hockey just decides not to care and not enforce it. So we're all left to wonder. And maybe Tuck is the same. I don't know.
You almost have to hope so. I mean, but that cuts both ways. Like you want, I think, for your own peace of mind with them moving forward. Tuck, they don't have to move forward with Tuck. I mean, that decision could be made for them if they let it, because his contract is up. But you want to be able to explain away their failures by saying they're not. It's not that they're just not up to the moment, or that Montreal has some otherworldly plan for dealing with players who have produced consistently all year long and even year over year. That they're not just failing to come through. There's got to be something else that is ailing them that's causing this. So, and that can be a faulty premise at inception, and you have to know that, right? But I think if you really, I have an easier time with Thompson than I do Tuck. I just never noticed Tuck. I'm never seeing him in plays. I saw him in the play last night on the third Montreal goal because he's the one chasing Hudson down toward the net front, and then the pass comes across, and of course Timmins is out of position again. I don't know, somehow I got friends texting me that somehow Timmins is a -7 and they only gave up 6 goals. I don't know what happened.
Does Hudson not walk around Tuck?
Yeah, I think
from
so.
the point
yes,
after the
and
draw?
he sort of flails at him. But Thompson is more prominent, and I was talking to Owen before I came to work today, and I'm surprised nobody has really gone and tried to do a deep dive, looking at all the footage that there is to try to figure out when something could have happened to either one of these guys. And a part of that would be, I feel like Thompson is still getting teed up for one-timers, and you're seeing him shoot that shot. But he couldn't lift the puck over the goalie last night when he had him sprawled. He makes that move and is going to wait him out. And that play, I think you're hoping to flip it over the goal. You've waited him out long enough. You're still in position. You've got an angle, and he's going to be sprawling. You got to flip it up, and he couldn't.
It wasn't close.
Right.
It was just Dolis didn't even need his glove.
Right. It was just along the ice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, how many wrist shots have I seen him take? Right? Is he taking – maybe he's got something, whatever is bothering him on his hand, his thumb, his wrist, his forearm, his elbow, whatever, allows him to use the hammer, the slap shot, but the wrist shot maybe – and that would be stick handling and everything that you've seen him sort of get tangled up with. It would sort of explain all that away. And I don't know that I'm right because I haven't gone through either and looked at whether he's taken any wrist shots versus slap shots. But I just wonder if there's some limitation there, or if he just couldn't get the puck up in that moment when he had the goalie down.
Well, it's just almost like last night it felt like it's almost every shift.
Yeah.
There's some play that you can't believe. Whoops and woofs and yelps,
Thwelps,
and
thwelps, yeah.
Uggs and crikeys
and even the last one.
Jesus.
Yeah,
was last night a Jesus? I don't think that was so much Jesus for me, if I may be allowed to get political this one time, was like game 3. Jesus, they can't even match this team. Last night, I don't know. You said it too earlier to me. We were talking, and was that last night? Were they overmatched?
Yeah, I guess, like the 2 goals that really knocked it out, like the 4th and 5th goals late in the second period were more, they're more, not so much Jesus as like, ew.
Ugh. Yikes.
Like, what?
The 4-3 goal on Luukkonen, the Thompson penalty, right?
The Thompson penalty, like the whole, it was the second, it was in the same spot by the end of the second period that I was in during game 4. Where I said, yesterday
tonight
Greg
out
Wyshynski,
and about. You have an event?
I have a happy hour that's not in the traditional happy hour hours. It's 7 to 9 because, our show at Resurgence Brewing to benefit my Ride for Roswell effort. So $1 from each Sitmo sold during that window of time will be donated to the Ride for Roswell effort. The folks from 26 Shirts are going to be there with the garage gear and other wares of theirs. And there's basket. It's a typical thing. 50-50 raffles and whatever, gift baskets, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to see lots of people out there. And you are doing what?
I'm in a blackjack tournament, but I would expect heavy security.
It is also a charitable endeavor.
Yes.
Good.
It's a tournament at Seneca Niagara for VIPs of theirs, and then some number of celebrities. I was invited, so you have maybe an idea of what kind of celebrities.
What level of celebrity, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm excited to do it. I've done some reading on it. I've never been in a blackjack tournament that I can remember. And I at first thought, okay, well, I'm going to play blackjack, and if I am the luckiest, because I know all the book plays, then I'll win. But it's way more than that, I've learned.
Okay.
It's like more like a poker tournament in betting strategy. And
so you're going to play the opponents in addition to.
I don't want to give it all away.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah.
I might be done in 5 minutes.
Well,
if you bust, you bust.
Are you downtown or are you in
Niagara?
In the fall? Okay, so yeah,
Seneca,
you're
Niagara.
not that close to Resurgence. But I was going to say, if you bust out early, come on over.
They do have it set up so, of all the celebrities who don't advance, which is all but 2, they're going to draw for 1 to make the final table.
Okay.
So you're going to, I'm going to stick around.
You could still have a
I
way
would want
in.
to anyway for a while. And then, you could backdoor it.
All right.
Got to wait to see if your name is called at the end.
Good deal.
Yep. Let's get Tom in real quick. Tom, go ahead.
All right, guys. Thanks for taking my call. First-time caller.
All right. Nice
Appreciate
to hear from
it,
you.
and I enjoy listening to you guys.
Thank you.
So, Bulldog, you said that about Tage Thompson. I'm listening to everybody calling about Tage Thompson and wondering if he's hurt, and everybody's speculating he is. And you said about if anybody happened to see anything in a game that you may have noticed.
What did you find, Tom? We're short on time.
Okay, go back into the Columbus or the Islanders game towards the end of the season. He got checked into the boards. He instantly looked down at his arm, went to the bench, and I thought to myself, we just lost our top scorer for the playoffs. He has not been right since that game. That is the game he got hurt. It'll come out at the end of this run. It's going to come out he is hurt, and that's when he got hurt.
All right. Thank you for the
I appreciate that.
the suggestion.
Anybody out there wants to dig into that home game against Columbus or the Islanders, that kind of actually rings a bell to me.
Okay.
Like feeling concerned about him and then he seems fine. Okay, good.
Because he didn't leave the game?
Right. Yeah.
All right. We can look that up.
I wonder. All right.
Thanks again, Tom. Coming up, Joe Yerdon from Bleacher Report, his thoughts on the Sabres through 5 games with Montreal. Game 6 tomorrow night. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
A couple times to you. I felt like in the second intermission of Game 4, they're done. They can't keep up. They're taking these penalties. This feels like it's over. And, they managed to play a great third period that night and get out of there. And yeah, last night is a tough one. Is it all on the goalie? I mean, it might be. I mean, there's other stuff, but the difference in the game ends up being their guy made a ton of high danger saves after allowing 3 goals on 4 shots to start the game. He stabilized, and our guy it got worse as it went on. I think, because I know what it feels like now watching that third period. It was just like they're not coming back. The early penalty and another power play goal at 6-3. I mean, oh my gosh, right? But 7 or 8 minutes into the second period, I thought they were going to blow that team out of the building. It's 3-2, and they are controlling the game in the second period. They had how many? 4 at least really great chances, including a Thompson breakaway to get a 2-goal lead. I just thought they were going to. I said yesterday at one point, like one of my thoughts I had about today is like, this is their turn to put it on them. They're gonna run away from this team. And then I don't know. There's an icing and then a tying goal, and the game immediately flipped right after that goal to tie the game. Suddenly Montreal's got them hemmed in, and it just went haywire. So it's not like they were overmatched all night. It was a weird first period. There's no arguing that. It's very sloppy and chances and weird goals and whatever. But man, the way that second period started, I thought they got this. And then it just turned. And then the goals, and then so I'm fighting hard to not be completely despondent, because there was, there was a moment in a game last night where that leaves you feeling demoralized, where I thought, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know if you share this opinion. I haven't really talked to a lot of people about it, but I thought almost halfway through the second period they had this.
Well, I really wanted 4-2 to that point. Like, they were really close a few times to get to 4-2, and they never did. How bad were the first 3 goals? Like, they're not classic bad goals. In fact, the Montreal goals against were sort of uglier on the goalie, I think. 2 and 3. Maybe not 1. One's a double bouncer.
I mean, I don't know. You could – I think there's a leg to stand on all 3 that, to me, aren't indicative of a goalie that I'm worried. I wasn't really worried about him on any of those 3 goals.
Okay, let me say this then. Worried about him. You would have a keener eye for this. And I was at the game, and I think this kind of thing can be easier when you're not, when you're watching on TV, but not always. I didn't like him ever last night. I mean, there were a couple saves where he looked behind him, and even the best save of the night, according to the arena, and I would probably not say different, is another one where he's like way out here and his back is to the net. I just think, is this not correct that sort of the bad signs on Luukkonen are that, even when the puck doesn't go in?
Yeah.
I mean, the first one is the first one an overplay? Is the second one where he's just sort of not? I'm not sure if it's fair. Like, to me, all 3 of those goals, and then 4 is ugly.
4 is ugly, and 5 is maybe worse than 4.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah,
is he too deep?
It's another one where he just doesn't have the pad down. It went underneath him.
Suzuki.
He just wasn't sealed up there.
Okay. My theory last night was, if they're not winning, he comes out early. Like, if the Sabres don't score at all, 2-0, 3-1, he comes out. Because to me, knowing what I think I know about the bad signs with him, they were evident. I mean, I don't want to say it could have been worse, because you can always say that almost about any game.
That might be right. I don't know. There definitely is an accusation that you could make that he overplayed the first goal, but I might say rightly so. Okay. Of course, it looks bad when you come out like that and there's a back door available, but I think you got to have some faith that your guys are going to defend that. There were plenty of people around. It's just Caulfield beat them all to that spot. And so I think you got to trust that somebody's going to get him, and you're coming out to make the save on the guy that's got the puck right in front of you, who's also kind of open and could shoot. So I give him some leeway there. The second one is the one that's off the skate. I don't know. I have a hard time getting on him about that.
It's an uphill climb for the Buffalo Sabres following their loss to Montreal last night, and now they trail that series 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night in Montreal. And for more on yesterday, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Good news, though, on the injury front from this morning. Head coach Lindy Ruff said Owen Power spoke with him this morning, saying he felt better than expected, and he was receiving treatment when the media was speaking to Ruff. We'll find out more on that potentially later on tomorrow, with Ruff also saying they may not even have a morning skate tomorrow. In terms of games tonight, there are no games. Vegas punched their ticket to the Western Conference Final with a win over Anaheim, and so the next game will be tomorrow with Buffalo taking on Montreal. To the PGA Championship, Day 2 underway. 21-year-old Aldrich Pottinger sits at the top of the leaderboard, 5 under. Through the tournament, we'll get more on what we have seen so far through 2 days when Brian Kosiel joins the show in just about an hour at 5 o'clock. In baseball, we've got a full day. Bisons host the Woo Sox just after 6 o'clock. That game can be heard over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. While in the majors, the Blue Jays are at Detroit. 6:45 is when that game will get started. And then we've got a 3-game Subway Series starting tonight. The Mets, quote-unquote, host the Yankees at 7:15. Catch every take, every reaction, and every big Buffalo sports moment live now on YouTube with Jeremy and Joe in the morning and Schop and the Bulldog in the afternoon. Watch your favorite WGR hosts anytime, anywhere, live on air, live on YouTube. It's brought to you by Belknap Heating and Cooling. For more money and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schop and the Bulldog.
I don't think Michael's ever done drugs.
It's Mike Schop.
I don't know if anyone's ever offered him any.
Let's go over some of the symptoms of marijuana use, shall we? You tell me who this sounds like.
It's the Bulldog.
Slow moving, inattentive, dull, constantly snacking, shows a lack of motivation.
It's Mike Schop and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
May we be men for a moment? It's a stereotype, but what's more interesting than directions? How is Joe Yerdon getting to Montreal from his home in Western New York? I mean, Joe, there are a couple of ways you could play this. There's probably, if you're like me, you're going right by the map on your phone. Whatever that says is what we're doing. I don't know. What is the route today?
Well, we're doing the straight shot down 90, then up 81, and then I don't know if we're crossing at Thousand Islands or Ogdensburg, but one of them is, they're both really scenic views, one way better than the other. Thousand Islands is gorgeous. Ogdensburg's a little freaky, though, so it's like one of those rickety metal bridges that's way too long, and you're just like, I don't want to be on this the second you get on it, so yeah. It's, but then you take the 401 straight to Montreal, and you're good to go.
Does that take you to 87? Is Ogdensburg 87? I did Burlington to Montreal in December with my son, and it's right up 87, and there's a crossing there. Maybe that's Ogdensburg. I don't know it by name, but it's in Vermont. No, it wouldn't be because it's in Vermont.
No, Ogdensburg is right after, a little bit east of the Thousand Islands, but west of 87.
Okay,
87's a little far. If I was going from where I grew up, that would be straight up 87 to 15 in Canada, then straight into the city. So much straighter shot from Albany. But yeah, from here it's little Adirondack lights.
You wouldn't need to go to Vermont.
The way you're going is the way I would go, if that means anything. Like I would assume like 81 Watertown, like, and just sort of keep going. So anyway, now that we've got that settled,
I was going to say that you could have the scenic route and take Route 11 across the northern Adirondacks, which is really beautiful, but it will go really slow. And every rinky-dink town up north, you better go with a speed limit or else you're getting pulled over.
Okay. And they're really, I always wanted there to be one. Not quite done. I always wanted there to be one, but it's not ever optimal to go like through Toronto or through, most of Canada. We came back, my son and I, on that same trip from Montreal to Toronto because that's where we were going, but it wouldn't have been judicious to go.
Yeah, no, you're just adding going
Canada.
around Lake Ontario, which you have to do to get from here to Toronto, and you don't need to do that to go from here to Montreal.
I
so.
always want that to be the best option, but it never is. Never changing. Okay. Joe, what do you think of the series so far? What are a couple of the biggest keys?
Well, I think what stood out to me in this series is that, and this is going to sound like cliche or like a no kidding dude kind of moment, but when the Sabres play their game, they're really good. They're really, really good, and Montreal has a hard time dealing with it. But when they get too loose and they start getting maybe either too fancy, too creative, or maybe they're just not locked in, Montreal's just absolutely had their way with them, and it's not even like it's like a full game butt kicking kind of thing. Maybe game 2 was that. Game 3, the penalties were just a nightmare. But I think there's been so many times in all of these games where they're playing really well, and you're like, okay, if they do this all night, they're going to win, and they get tripped up somewhere along the way in those games, and then it just goes completely sideways for them, and it's I'm sure it's immensely frustrating for them, and I know it's very frustrating for the fans to watch, but it's really fascinating to see it play out, because I think 5-on-5, these teams are insanely similar and very close, but everything else about the series has just been either very much in Buffalo's favor when they're playing their game right, or the PK, which has been so good all year for Buffalo, is just not getting it done in this series.
Yeah, like last night, I think is a great example of what you're describing here, Joe. Because we've already talked today a little bit. I thought like 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes into the second period, the Sabres were going to run them out of the building. It's 3-2. They're all over them. Thompson's got the breakaway. There's a Norris Quinn Zucker shift in there where they are just all over it. Montreal's got one shot until that icing, and then the draw, and Hudson makes that play, and Anderson's uncovered, and it's tie game, and it just flipped on a dime right there. The puck drops at center ice after the tying goal. It's right in the Buffalo end, and they're hemmed in, like, almost immediately. I'm like, what just happened? It's one goal. Like, get back down there.
Sorry if the phone's cutting out here. I don't know, but oh man, I go back to that icing play, and I went back and rewatched it, and it was just like one of those, like, kind of like a garden variety icing where it's just kind of like, all right, always, flip it out. Whoops, okay, icing. The problem with that play last night was they were brutal in the circle. Like, they had a hard time winning draws, and whether it was Suzuki or Deneau that was out there, they were winning everything clean. And Montreal knew right away. But after that icing, they're like, okay, well, we're going to win this draw. Here's the play. Here's what we're going to do. And it was like watching a perfect execution of a football play where, okay, we got a guy driving middle lane, park in front of the net, and then Anderson's going to swing around far side. Hudson's going to make that pass 99 times out of 100, and it was right on the tape, bang. And, that's the kind of – that gets to another issue that Buffalo's had. Obviously, the face-offs are an issue. Wasn't a big deal in Game 4 because they were really good. But Game 5 last night, they were on the struggle bus all night long on face-offs, and that play really just kind of, it just showed how much they had. Montreal knew that they were going to win that draw and they were going to get that play. It was just a matter of completing it.
We should have talked about this earlier when we were talking about Thompson's play and whether he's hurt, and we're getting calls from people who think they can identify when it happened and watch him with, whether it's a wrist injury exactly or what, watch him this, watch him that. In the draw, someone very close to me last night said it doesn't even look like he's trying on faceoffs. He's just sort of in there poking, and then maybe they toss him, and that would further speculation that he's, dealing with something in that kind of area. Do you have a take on him, Joe? I think Bulldog agrees. His play is so off that I feel like he's got to be hurt.
I'm not privy to any any sort of thing, and I haven't identified anything that sticks out like, ooh, this play might have hurt him. Nothing that comes to mind anyway. It's just all, it's just constant plays all the time. But he's looked off enough where it's like, all right, whenever we get to hear the final injury report when they're done, whenever that is, we're really interested to see what's going on there, because my hope is that there is something going on, because if there isn't, then we got a whole other kind of discussion to be having.
Right.
It's, both with him, and I think maybe with Alex talked as well, but, those guys, the desire's there, the want's there, but it's just, sometimes, the body can only take you so far. And, if there is an issue and there's something going on, then, it's a horrible time to have that happen.
Right.
I think him sitting out would work way more against him than anything. And I know people would say, like, get out of the way, let somebody else play. But you're talking about removing a 40-goal scorer from the lineup. That does not happen. A 40-goal scorer at 65-70% is still better than whoever your next option is. Out of Rochester. No offense to those guys out of Rochester, but that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And, that's just tough.
I think if Oslin were healthy, maybe there's a conversation to maybe even have. And even then, it's to me a maybe in all capital letters. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right, Joe? Because on one hand, you want him to be healthy, because that could mean that in any one of these games he just turns back into the guy that we saw all season and for many of these past seasons, who can be flat out dominant, one of the best players on the ice, one of the best players in the league. But the other end of it is I need something to explain this drop-off, because if this is just what he's capable of at this moment of the season, completely healthy, I would be terrified of moving forward with him and thinking I'm gonna continue to build and grow. So you end up at almost by default, just it's got to be something that he can't handle the puck, he can't shoot all of the shots he usually shoots, and that has to explain it. But
he is a point a game.
Yeah,
for the playoffs, he is a point a game. So yeah,
it's kind of wild, right? Like
it is.
It's kind of crazy that he's point a game and everybody's just like, well, why isn't he better at this? Why isn't he doing more? And it's like, well, he's doing things. It's just, there have been so many moments where it's like, boy, he should have finished that one. Or, boy, all right, that would have been great if he could have got that one. And, you're left thinking about those moments, especially when these games are so close.
45% on draws for the season, 35% for the playoffs, Thompson. With Joe Yerdon of Bleacher Report on his way to Montreal, and he's being smart about which ways to go, which turns to take, etc. Mike Schop and the Bulldog here, Game 6 tomorrow night in Montreal, 8 o'clock. They're going to make you wait all day. What have you had to say on the goaltending changes throughout the playoffs here, and what did last night do for you?
I haven't disliked them, and it fits with everything that they've been doing. I think we're all just so programmed for playoff goaltending that you pick a guy and you ride him until it's done. And that's a very tough thing to jive with how Buffalo has done things all year long. When you see, Lyon has a hard time there in Game 3, and you're like, all right, yeah, probably time for a switch. Then Luukkonen plays great in Game 4, and you're like, okay, all right, let's see how long he goes here. And then Game 5 goes that way, and you're like, maybe we got an issue here. Maybe both guys are gassed. I don't know, but it doesn't give you the kind of confidence that you want to have in your goaltending, especially because Dovesh has played so well in this series, and that's really a big difference in how things have turned. Is that Dovesh has just had a better handle on things just in general, and he's made the saves in some of these moments, and he's made the plays. And I think of how they had him on the ropes last night, and they just didn't keep pushing. And 3 goals on the first 4 shots. You could read his body language that he's very much just like, oh boy, I'm fighting it now. And they didn't get more of a push. Obviously Montreal does their thing where they're like, okay, well, we got to try to help him out here. And once St. Louis doesn't pull him, you got to think like the final 10 minutes of the first has to be a full-on blitz. Get after him, throw everything you can, and see if he's got it. Because maybe he doesn't tonight, and you can get 4, 5, 6 goals on him before they pull the plug, and then you're planning game 6 and thinking, all right, let's finish this one on the road. But Lindy pointed out today about they had so many good looks that they just didn't shoot on, and there's a thing that's tied into the entire regular season and the entire season in playoffs where they've had great looks and they just say, nope, this other guy's got an even better look, let me pass it to him, and then this other guy's got another look. There's the one cycle they had where, geez, there must have been 4 or 5 passes until Connor Timmins is the guy that says, all right, I'll shoot. And it's like, no, I wanted one of the other 4 guys to shoot that instead. No offense, Connor. But,
that play,
Quinn's got it on his stick. Quinn's got it on his stick. Give me any of those other guys to shoot the puck, please.
That play, Joe, was insane. We brought this up earlier. It was like maybe if you're so good at a video game, you're just going to pass the puck so many times because you can't miss, and you're just going to pass it into the net, and all the other players will be face down at the end of the play, and the light goes on. But, yeah, I mean, it was one of those plays, and Timmins was right in front of the net and happened to get his shot blocked there. I feel like I think the point about not shooting more does get overstated, overmade, because a lot of their goals, I mean, even look, Montreal last night scored goals that, maybe they just should have shot because they were in close, but there's the one more pass and it's perfect. And I just have always sort of been sensitive to that with the Sabres because everybody loves to yell shoot. But, man, that was an example of one that just, it kept going. And Quinn gets to the slot, and he goes, I'm going around this guy, too. And it works. And then there's Timmins right there and right into the pads. So,
yeah. And Joe, not for nothing with this, should have shot, try to make a prettier play, and Lindy sort of pointing that out. I think just 2 or 3 games ago, one of the things he criticized them for was that they didn't try to make enough plays. That they were thinking too much about just getting the puck to the net and getting it off their sticks instead of trying to make another play. So, I mean, I don't know. Whichever thing you don't do, if it doesn't work, you should have done the other thing. I don't know if you were in the room when St. Louis talked, Joe, about the goaltending choice that he felt he had to make. And I'm not sure the way he talked about it, whether it was at the end of the first or even during the first period. It would make sense if it were during the first period, because after that Helenus goal goes in, it's like that's the moment where you're like, oh my God, this guy doesn't have it tonight. And what St. Louis said is, I don't feel like I can really help you with the goalie. Like, that's not my area. And I try to take emotion out of it. And I just wanted to get a call up to the goaltending coach and ask him what he thinks. And his advice was keep him in there. So I did. And obviously the kid turned his game around on a dime, because the Sabres had a ton of chances to make that game 4-2 and maybe even 5-2 by a certain time. And then suddenly it just flipped.
Yeah. And I think what keeps him in that game is that it's a 1-goal game. If it's 3-0, I think he's gone.
Right,
I think that's the easiest call to make, or even 3-1, honestly. Like 3-1 game, and he gives up the goal to Helenus, and it's like, oh boy, okay, we cannot let him stay in there and let this get more out of hand. 2 goals, we're still in it, but that's a bad one. That's a bad one to give up, and you're just like, oh boy, you ain't got it tonight. All right, Fowler, go in there and. Right, other kid, get in there and see what you got.
Right.
But because it's 3-2, it's almost like the baseball when like both pitchers are getting pounded on early, and you're just like, you know what, whatever, stay in there. We don't want to burn through the entire bullpen. Let's you're gonna have to eat it, but like keep us in the game.
And he's our best guy. That also works for the pitcher's example. Like, well, he's our best. So
right.
I don't know if I didn't mean to say I would have done it or assumed it would happen if the Sabres went up 3-0. But if Montreal had gone up 3-1 on the goals that they scored, I think Luukkonen comes out. But the
100%.
the Sabres were in the lead, throughout a lot of that. So I think that also
the score effects maybe kept both goalies in the game. Yeah,
right.
This was where I think we end up here. Joe, how about just a couple other things before we got to let you go? Byram was their best player, I thought, in round 1 against Boston, and he's, if not for the struggles of Thompson and Tuck, I feel like the biggest thing that I've noticed that's changed from round 1 to round 2 is Bowen Byram. Like, he just looks like he's hit a wall.
Yeah, it's really strange with him because he was just so good against Boston. And I think some of the issues that we saw last night, I think, kind of go back to, reminds me early in the season when they were trying to figure out who was going to pair with who on defense. Like they had Kesselring, you got Byram, you got Timmins, you wanted to have those lefty-righty pairs, and Liddy's just trying to go through it and figure out, okay, who's going to work well with who? And none of those pairs worked for anybody. It seemed like last night, anytime Byram and Timmins were together, there was something completely amiss, and there's like, I don't know if it's communication or chemistry, what have you, but like nothing was working. They just couldn't get on the same page at all, and it was really noticeable. And to me, that's the kind of thing where you can get out of your rhythm with that kind of thing, especially when he's either playing with power or he's going to be playing with Chen or Timmins, probably just Timmins all the time. But boy, he was just kind of fighting it the whole time. And I go back, you think back to the penalties in Montreal, right, where it was just like, hey, keep the stick down, like let's play it cool here. And sometimes those things can snowball on you a little bit when things are out of whack, especially because of how easy he made it look in the first round. Sure, there's something like psychologically where it's like, man, I was rolling, doing the same thing. What's wrong here? What am I doing wrong? And then you get in your own head. And that's really tough to see, especially because I think Owen Power's been awesome.
Yep.
And like that's his partner. And like it's just kind of like something's a little bit off there with how that's. Can't really diagnose it. You can't. I mean, you can go back and look at the plays and go like, "What's he doing here?" Well, just so much of that stuff is just like. I imagine, if I were a smarter person and an actual hockey coach and whatnot, I could go back through the tape and go like, "Oh, well, here's what the difference is." But I think a lot of it is just mostly Montreal gets in your face way more than Boston does, and those split-second decisions for passes or where to go or the outlets or whatnot are way different, and the reads are way different than what they were getting against Boston. And I think that's probably where a lot of the issues with trying to get out of your zone or trying to start breakouts are coming from a lot of these guys, because Montreal's just everywhere. Like, that's the advantage of speed. Buffalo knows how to do that. They do the same thing too, but when it's getting turned against you, man, it's like, oh, geez, okay, this is what it's like.
Joe Yerdon buzzing along the thruway. You can hear the semis going by. that classic I-90 drive on his way to Montreal for Game 6. Thanks for fitting us in today, Joe.
I appreciate the time, guys. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Joe Yerdon of Bleacher Report. I can picture a big rickety bridge at the Thousand Islands, but it doesn't cross the border. The one I'm thinking of doesn't cross the border. Mm-hmm. So there might be, well, it is 1,000 islands. I mean, there could be
there's
numerous.
A lot. Right.
I was on a boat ride with my family on a camping trip up there a few years ago, and I remember it was pouring. Still fun, but it's narrated, and they define how big does a piece of land in the water have to be to be qualify as an island. It's like 2 square feet or something. I forget.
Right.
And it's a little bit mundane, and it's raining, and just kind of sitting there. And when are we getting back?
Big garbage bag tarps on.
Yeah,
probably
probably
on the deck of a boat.
Sort of huddling inside and listening to all the trivia. And at one point, the narrator of the tour is talking about a certain house over on the right, and maybe it was the oldest house or something. There was some sort of interesting factoid about it, and then there was a pause, and she said, and it was most recently owned by former NHL player Clark MacArthur. Like, oh, well,
there's a little connection.
There's something.
All right.
Oh, that's the Clark MacArthur house over there. Didn't know. 803-0550 for your calls. I mean, how optimistic are we? Can we help? I'm in the mood to, let's stand by the boys. I've been saying it the whole playoffs.
Ride the ride one more time. Yeah.
Yes, there are issues. But even that game last night, there were stretches where they were really good. Just had a tougher time finishing than Montreal did. The Sabres needed more saves.
I think it's important to remember that because a part of me feels like, oh, my God, they're shot. I'm not. Thompson and Tuck are not rebounding. Byram's a ghost. This is not, But, yeah, I also thought, 6 or 8 minutes into the second period that they were going to kill them.
Just give me the 4-2.
It's unbelievable.
Just get me to 4-2.
So remember that. I got to remember that. Of course, everything that happened after matters, but they still were in a spot there where, they could have taken the game over.
Give me the 4-2. Maybe Luukkonen settles down. Maybe they just get on their heels that much more, the Canadians, and you can get home. But they could not get that fourth goal. Even throughout the third period with the goalie pulled and power plays, they still never did get that fourth goal. Lines open. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Brian Kosiel at 5. This is WGR.
But look, I don't need to prop him up. He blew it. The two that came at the end of the second period are bad enough that it ruined the night. His redemption arc lasted one game.
Right.
It's really, it was such a cool story that could have been written, guy loses job, gets back in and never looks back. And that's over.
Well, I can't blame Lindy for it.
No, I don't think so either.
It wouldn't even be fair to because I wasn't sitting here yesterday saying that
play Lion
should go back in. It wouldn't be fair to do it. I really can't. It's not over yet. First, let me say that first to this point, but it's been a story of the season that he's been able to go to both guys, and that hasn't let him down. And I just think the way the scoring went last night, Ruff was kind of trapped. I wonder if he would agree with this, that he could have had an instinct to pull his goalie earlier. Even 4-3. 4-3 is gross. But it's 4-3. And you're getting late in the second period, and that's a weird time to make that move, as bad as that was. Then almost immediately it's 5-3, and now you're jammed, and the period's almost over.
And then, of course, he's coming out at the second intermission.
I didn't assume it.
I didn't assume it either, but somebody asked me, halfway through the intermission, I was, scrolling through Twitter and I said, I would. And then, 5 minutes later, he's out. Okay. So give me another credit for getting the goalie choice right. I thought he would switch, and he did. But by then, just too late. And
they had a lot of looks in the third, in and around, before and after the goal for 6-3. Talk about kind of close to domination in the second for the first, 8 minutes or whatever that was. And the third, you're still not dead at 6-3, but it's 6-3. Your odds are.
We've been living in sin so long, all the fields are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time.
It's an uphill climb for the Sabres following last night's loss to Montreal, and they now trail that series 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow night in Montreal. And for more on yesterday, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. There was some good injury news, though, from this morning. Head coach Lindy Ruff said he spoke with Owen Power this morning, and Power told him that he felt better than expected. He was also receiving treatment when the media was speaking with Ruff, but we'll see about all of that likely tomorrow night, as Ruff also said they most likely will not have a morning skate tomorrow. In terms of games today, there are none. Vegas punched their ticket to the Western Conference Final with a win against Anaheim, so the next game in the Stanley Cup playoffs is tomorrow, Buffalo at Montreal. To the PGA Championship, Day 2 underway. 21-year-old Aldrich Pottinger sits at the top of the leaderboard, 5 under so far through 2 rounds. We'll get more on the tournament so far. Brian Kosiel joining the show in just about a half hour at 5 o'clock. And then in baseball, Bisons do host the Woo Sox today just after 6. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. Blue Jays are at Detroit at 6:45. And then we've got a 3-game Subway Series starting tonight. Mets host Yankees at 7:15. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I look at it right now, what is there, 5 teams left? To be sitting here talking to you guys, I think this is a wonderful place to be. And I'll tell the team the same thing. We get to go to Montreal in Game 6 in the middle of May to move on to a Game 7. And I think we'll all be evaluated on what this game looks like. Just bring your best.
That's the spirit. As I would say, I have very much gotten used to these playoffs from Lindy Ruff, or for the last almost 30 years. Just like, that's the right note to strike. Not only is it not over, this is a privilege, and you better be ready for the scrutiny if you're not willing to put out for this game, just because you think there's no coming back. He's right about all that. We've been trying to figure out Tuck and Thompson and some of the other, whatever else, like with the Sabres, that might be hidden. Just are there injuries? And maybe this is also can extend to a couple of lineup decisions that we've talked about plenty. But, if you have a game tomorrow night, and not to say I'm predicting it, because I'm not, but certain guys just are not giving the effort, and you can tell, and sort of get down big, well, then maybe I don't want to talk about injuries after that. I want to talk about how I don't want to say like I'm going to come after their pride or anything like that, because I feel like this season has been so tremendous. I can't even imagine a game where I'm likely to do that.
Yeah.
But what Ruff is saying is that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it all just sort of circles back to the like whether or not, like how valid the injury question is to you, not knowing, not having anything confirmed. Like, is that an excuse? Are you excuse making for them? Like, because I honestly don't know. I don't know the answer. But because a part of me thinks that, of course, Thompson and Tuck are giving everything they possibly can. This is just, there's a limit to what they have right now, and this is it. We're seeing it. They're compromised in some way. But if I'm wrong about that, then, I think it's going to sound, it maybe be a little calmer because some days will have gone by. But I think it'll sound really tough around here. And I would say even from me here, if this comes and goes, whatever happens here, if it's on Monday we find out, or if it's not until the middle of June that we find out, or somewhere in between, if there isn't an injury there, I'm going to have a real hard time explaining what the hell those performances have been, because they literally have. I mean, they're the worst players on the ice, and that just doesn't make sense. Montreal, sure, they're faster, and they're defending differently. Like, Hudson is a player the caliber of really Boston didn't have. Like, even as great as McAvoy is, he's not that guy. That guy is elite, Hudson. Like, he's gonna win a Selke or two. Like, he's that good, I think.
Suzuki is going to win it this year, by the way.
Selke. I meant the Norris. I meant the goalie, the defenseman award. Sorry. Yeah, but yeah, no, you're right. But all that said, like, I just cannot believe that there's just this wide a variance in their performance. So I don't know. Like, I appreciate Ruff there, but I think a lot of these guys already are doing. They just have to do it again. They have to continue giving everything they've got. And his message is, don't let the spot you're in, facing elimination for the first time, be demoralizing. Let's just go win up. We just did this a couple days ago. Let's go win a hockey game in Montreal and sort of shift the mood of this whole thing.
Well, in net, it'll be Lyon for sure. And now he gets another chance.
Yep.
After being pulled. And, you want to think, just like we did with Luukkonen, and Luukkonen took advantage of that in Game 4 and then faltered last night, unfortunately. But that Lyon is sort of excited. Like, it's back to me.
I got my chance back.
This is my chance to restate what I think I've got. And this is like, everything's on the line here. Biggest game of my life. I do think probably not to waste, I think it's mostly wasteful, waste too much time trying to read minds. The Canadiens goalie got away with one. We were just talking about this with our guest, Joe Yerdon. Like, that third goal, if not also the second one is just sort of Doan just picks a perfect little side, the corner there along the ice. My section, the rest of the game was like, shoot low. Just keep shooting low. Because the Hellenius goal was, how does that go?
I really honestly could not believe. I mean, the first goal is the crazy pinball. Like, that happens. The Doan goal and the Hellenius goal, I couldn't believe went in.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it went in.
So you might be one more away. That's that play to Timmins we're talking about and other chances. They're buzzing there too. End of the first until, oh my God, that last 10 seconds. Like, you just it's 3-2. There's a TV timeout at 5 minutes. Get to the locker room. And they mostly are fine until it's Caulfield and Suzuki. Maybe it's two of those three. Yep. And Luukkonen gets across to save that, or else it's 3-3. Like, that would have really hurt. And then the beginning of the second, it's all Sabres for a long time, culminating in the Thompson breakaway.
Yeah.
After that, it's tied, and then we're dead.
Yeah. And that's largely the goalie. And as much as you don't want that to take it out of you, that can take it out of you. That's why, like, parse it any way you want. I wouldn't be really mad about the first 3 goals, but once the game is tied, to have that goal be the goal that puts them ahead, and then, it's compounded by Thompson taking that stupid penalty like that. That's another piece. Like, what are you doing there? Is it just like you don't know what else to do because you're so frustrated you can't do anything? So, like, I'm going to at least try to finish a check even though the puck's not here and I'm going to get called for another penalty? Like,
we've seen it in the series already.
Man, it's so maddening. But anyway, those 2 goals could kill any team. We're guys are injured, we're fighting, we're battling, we're getting everything we got here, and like, what? Oh, God. That's so, just so deflating to have that happen like that.
10 seconds into the power play, too.
Yeah.
Click, click, click. 5-3. Felt like the game.
And even then, even if you wanted to talk, okay, well, Lions in, and they came from 2-0 down very late to beat Boston in game 1 of this whole playoff run. So, okay, 2 goals, just get one early here and get cooking. And instead, it's a penalty right away, and it's a power play goal, and it's 6-3, and like, forget about scoring early. They did.
A Dahlin penalty.
This is right. This is that. At least that one, like the guy was. It was around the net. Like, it was a more justifiable foul to commit, I would say.
It was deserved, though.
Oh, yeah. No question. Yeah. But at least was a scoring, whatever. It wasn't a nothing play. Like, the Thompson penalties have been just stupid plays.
Yesterday with Greg Wyshynski, I'm like, there's got to be at least one diving penalty in this game. The game was more than half over before there was a single any penalty in the game.
I said after you left and I got ready to do pregame, one guy got through and called before I talked to Paul, and he said like 5-on-5. They got to play 5-on-5. 5-on-5. They're killing themselves with these penalties. I'm like, you know what? I want to say this. I thought it earlier in the day. Give me like 0 for 3 on the for Montreal, or even 1 for 4, and I would sign for it. Like if I only have 4 penalties in this game, I think I win the game. And what do they have? 2? I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, you had the Thompson one you mentioned, the Dahlin one we just talked about, then you had a coincidental, and you had the Benson misconduct late, which I missed because I left.
So 2 power plays, and they scored on them both. Basically, right? That's what ended up happening.
Yes.
Whew, man.
In short order. Yeah. Well, the first one anyway. I had left. I'm just going to put that out there.
You didn't see the – wait, what do you mean?
I left at 5 minutes left in the game.
Oh, okay. Right. So you didn't miss a power play goal.
I did not miss a goal.
Right.
But I missed whatever happened on this misconduct.
Oh, it was typical nonsense.
I love typical nonsense. I love atypical nonsense more.
It was, oh, look, Luke Shen is trying to get at Arbor Jacques. Oh, great. This is helpful.
Malenstein got him good in the game.
Yeah, he did. Oh, God, yeah. He
on the
rocked
glass.
him. Yeah, he really hammered him. Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing. There was nothing even there was no sucker punch. There was no nut punch. There was nothing. It was just, a lot of milling around.
I got out of there, in a reasonable way. 5 minutes left in the game. I was not alone. You probably could tell. And I got on the train. I timed the train well. And I was, riding a few stops up. And I was sitting next to a woman on the train, and I said to her, I'm used to this train out of games being more crowded, but I just remembered the game's not over yet. And she laughed at that. And there were lots of people on the train, but
just not as crowded as normal. Yeah.
The game had 2 minutes left. Another woman sitting nearby looked and said, there's still 2 minutes left in there.
Yeah.
I just being upfront, I left. We had a 14-year-old child out at the party.
Got to go collect them.
That looked incredible. Again, the guy in the front. Did you get the guy in the front on TV last night?
I didn't notice.
Party shots. Anybody get the guy in the front without the shirt?
I did not notice if they.
They kept going to that party at that canal side, and there was one guy who was, not svelte. Without a shirt, and he was having a day out there, and then he had a friend who was starting to, join him in, things.
A time was had.
And at one point in the middle of the game, they just kept on the scoreboard, they kept it on that guy and that scene out there, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds maybe. And finally when it was done, a woman in front of me in the arena literally yelled, "You can't unsee that!" Which was excellent. Sitting right in front of her, by the way, Brian Burke.
Hello.
Just right over there to my left last night. I didn't, go up to him or anything like that, but Brian Burke, Tyler Dunn, also really close by.
That's a ferocious head of hair and a head of no hair.
What a team they would make.
Yes.
5 letters, 5 letters, 5 letters, 5 letters. What a team.
I would consider myself, Burke has stepped in it plenty of times, but I would say I consider myself a fan of the man. I like his style.
Had some hardship in his life.
I like his story, his family. I'd say I admire Brian Burke.
Yeah. Oh, that's him. He's somebody that you look at.
Yeah.
Burke.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, right.
Yeah, I feel like I would be studying the strands of his hair if I were close enough
Good
to
hair.
do so.
Good hair. Yeah. Brian Kosiel coming up in less than 20 minutes. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. What have we got on Vegas?
Oh, John Tortorella did not talk to the media last night after the Golden Knights clinched their second-round series win over Anaheim, nor do I think the room was open entirely. Maybe like one player was made available, but they just did not – he did not, Tortorella, engage in any post-game media. And I just am seeing a tweet from – I'm seeing this from Luke Fox, who's been a guest on this show many times.
From the league.
From the league, the NHL is punishing the Golden Knights. They're taking a second-round pick in this draft from them and fining Tortorella $100,000. The fine doesn't surprise me at all. Boy, the second-round pick for skipping media seems awfully tough.
The league says they've been warned before.
Oh. Okay.
They can appeal.
Whew.
I mean, the first-round pick is next. They're going to have another series here.
Right.
The draft is in Buffalo.
Wow.
By the way, in a month? 5 weeks?
About
June
that, yeah.
22nd?
Near the end of June. Yeah.
Kept thinking last night, with as much fun as we've all had, let's just hope that wasn't the last night in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very 1990 for me, going back to a very good Sabres team that came home 2-2 to Montreal and got whooped, and then did not make it home after that Game 5 loss. Maybe 91 would have been close to the same thing. Not that these ancient references are helpful at all, but, I'm just walking down the escalator and past the store. Like, this could be the last one of these. There'll be the watch party tomorrow that I'm sure a lot of people will go to for $5. But, I said yesterday with you, I think they needed to win maybe to have fill the building.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right about that. Something to do.
Yeah.
The Preakness is tomorrow. That goes around 7.
Those are later than ever now, aren't they?
They are later than ever. Everything is later than ever.
I was out on Derby Day, and I remember thinking, I have 6:28 in my head, which is like a Super Bowl kickoff time too, I think. But whatever. I feel like 6 o'clock is like the telecast begins, and there's the parade and the whole thing, and 6. I feel like by 6:30 that race usually has happened.
Later now.
And I was out, and I knew it was after 7, and I'm like, we're all watching the race now. What happened?
Yeah, Preakness too.
All right,
goes later. Everything's later.
Yeah.
Brian Kosiel after the update on the Sabres loss and a little bit on the PGA Championship. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
It's an uphill climb for the Buffalo Sabres following the loss last night to the Montreal Canadiens, and now Sabres do trail that series 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night in Montreal. And for more on yesterday, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. But there was some good news on the injury front this morning. Head coach Lindy Ruff said Owen Power spoke with him this morning, and Power said he's feeling better than he expected. He was receiving treatment when the media was speaking with Ruff, although we likely won't get any more information, at least on Power, until tomorrow night, with Ruff saying that the team likely won't have a morning skate tomorrow. No games tonight. Vegas did punch their ticket to the Western Conference Final last night. However, this came down here in just the last few minutes. The Golden Knights are being docked a second-round pick, and head coach John Tortorella is being fined $100,000 for violating the league's media policy last night. Vegas was warned previously. To the PGA Championship, Day 2 is underway. 21-year-old Aldrich Pottinger sits at the top of the leaderboard at 5 under. We'll get more on the tournament so far and the Sabres as Brian Kosiel is going to join the show next. And then we've got a full day of baseball. Bisons host the Woo Sox just after 6 o'clock, so that's in just about an hour or so. And that game can be heard over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. While in the majors, the Blue Jays are at Detroit at 6:45. And then we've got a 3-game Subway Series starting tonight as the Mets host the Yankees at 7:15. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schop and the Bulldog.
Happy, the ball itself has its own energy, or life force, if you will. Its natural environment is in the home. So why don't you send them home?
It's Mike Schop.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
And the Bulldog.
That Happy Gilmore, he's a real crack-up, isn't he? I mean, he's a hoot. You know, what was great today, one of his fans mooned me and had Happy written on his ass. Ha on the one cheek, and then, sure enough, PPY right there on the other.
It's Mike Schop and the Bulldog.
Happy learned how to putt. Uh-oh.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back. Happy Friday. With us now on the Western Hotline, Sabres pre- and post-game host Brian Kosiel, also the host of Tee to Green, a host of Tee to Green, Saturday mornings on WGR. Before we take turns smacking Brian around for not picking Aldrich Potgeider on his Pick 10 team, let's talk about the Sabres' loss last night and just where we think the series is headed, other than to Montreal. Brian, were you, surprised? I mean, here was how I felt yesterday going into last night. I just want to trust these guys, and that includes a seemingly ailing Tage Thompson and whatever Alex Tuck is right now, and the erratic Luukkonen. And, it's not the whole team, but I didn't get what I needed out of any of those guys, and it was pretty costly.
Yeah, your top two forwards didn't come through. Your goaltender didn't come through. That obviously is a bad recipe for success in a playoff series that's super, super tight. After the first period, I mean, it was maybe the most entertaining period of the series, I think, and the back and forth, and even the suck you in of, hey, they got this almost, it felt like, and then right up, bang, Montreal would be like, nope, we're right back in it kind of mentality. It was a mood-swingy first period, but the Sabres were flying, I thought, throughout that, and I thought, okay, they're playing with that pace that they're looking for, and it almost even kind of started right where they left off in the second, and then I was talking about quite a bit on postgame. I said the moment that I know, you guys have talked about Thompson's game and his lack of production, I guess, throughout your show, the moment where he goes in on that breakaway in the early portion of the second period, if he scores there, makes it 4-2, I feel like the ability for them to just kind of keep it going would have been so much easier. Instead, at that point, Dobish makes the save. Who knows? Maybe Dobish is even pulled at that point. Because he was kind of having a train wreck during the first period, his worst period, I thought, of the series. Maybe they pull him just to spark them. And instead, it's a big save. A few minutes later, it's tied. And then, man, the rest of the game, it was just like they were not with it in both ends of the ice. The portions of the second period, they were just stuck on their own end forever. Yeah, it really, really swung quickly there from what seemed like it was going to be maybe the most entertaining game of this series.
Yeah, I thought, Brian, the first 7 right up until Montreal, they score right off a draw off an icing in the Buffalo end, and that's I think around 8 minutes or so into the period, and the shots might have been 6-1 Buffalo, and the play was all down there. You can fall into a trap of sort of believing your own nonsense. Like one thought I had about yesterday's game was that these teams are so close, but we've seen Montreal sort of put the Sabres down a couple times on the scoreboard, and I thought maybe we get that in reverse. And the way the second period started at 3-2 and how the goalie had looked to that point, Dobesh, I thought they're gonna blow them out of the building. And then, I don't know, they score that third goal, and then Buffalo just could not get out of their own end. I was like, what happened here? Like I really thought the recipe was being written here. They're gonna just take this game over. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I look ahead here, process and talk about this game with you and with our audience today, and think about tomorrow. They were for half of the game sort of in control. Not ever that comfortable on the scoreboard at 3-2, but I thought it was their game, and then Montreal just took it. So at least even with Tuch and Thompson in whatever state they're in, they were able to still do that. So it gives me some hope for tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. And Paul reminded me on postgame, as he did 2 postgames ago, hey, all they have to do is win, and it's the same scenario again that we had going into last night's game. It's all tied, coming back to your building. Now, for whatever reason, coming back to your building doesn't really mean anything, I guess, so far. They obviously have not been good, losing 4 of the 6 that they've had at KeyBank Center, and they've won 4 or 5 on the road. So Lindy Ruff, even last night, kind of indicated that he might treat it like a road game. I don't know if that means hotel or
probably
being secluded from family, all that sort of stuff, and friends. That's probably what he's going to look to do if they're able to get it to a Game 7. But I have no problem with them going to Montreal and winning, because they've, like I said, 3 for 3 in Boston, 1 out of 2 in Montreal. I know it's going to be a scene. Bulldog Owen said it's going to be psychotic, which I thought was a great way to describe it. We know Saturday night in Canada is special for hockey, and if they can figure, hey, this is our chance to clinch and go to the East Finals, like it's going to be a great mood all day there, I'm sure. And in the building, it's going to be electric leading up to it. I don't think the Sabres, though, for whatever reason, I think the Sabres can handle those situations. I think they've shown it so far. The only thing I would say, the 2 games in the Bell Center, if I was going to say one thing that maybe the atmosphere could have gotten them caught up into in some sense, is some of the undisciplined penalties that they took. And that is an area that when they have played clean periods, they've been excellent. The third period in Game 4 the other night, after having 2 periods of not disciplined play, they play a clean third. They kill off that penalty with 2.5 minutes, the carryover from the Byron High stick, and then they don't take a penalty the rest of the way. And then, of course, if you remember the clincher against Boston in Boston, Game 6, they didn't take a penalty the entire game. So, that, to me, has to be a piece of how they're going to be successful. Because look at last night. Even just Montreal had 2 power plays. I mean, that's not a lot in the entire game. But to me, obviously, they score on them both.
Right. And
look who takes the 2 penalties. It's your 2 studs. It's Dahlin and Thompson. And neither of them were really like, hey, I'm going to take this penalty to maybe save a goal or a huge scoring opportunity here. They were cross-checks away from the play, or not even at least in the defensive zone. So I think they have to clean that area up if they're going to be successful coming into Game 6, because that atmosphere can probably get to you very quickly if you feel like you're frustrated on a shift, or if you've had a bad stretch of a couple of shifts there where maybe you're hemmed in your own zone and you maybe take it out on a player, and all of a sudden now you're sitting in the box, and the dangerous power play comes out on the ice for Montreal.
Let's focus on Tuch for a minute. You mentioned Lindy Ruff last night. He had a comment about Tuch trying too hard to make the extra play, was the quote. I saw Chad DiDominis' tweet on that. Where are these extra plays? Can I see a single one? Right. I don't know. I think it's got to be almost 100% true that Thompson is in bad shape physically somehow. I think we're all kind of guessing wrist. What he's not doing with his shot, what he's not doing on faceoffs even, maybe that's the case, but we don't know. Tuch, I can't figure out. I mean, unless he's got some sort of core injury or something where he just can't go. I mean, I don't think there's anything you can do about it really, Brian, also. But Tuck's play is mysterious. He had a strong first round. Points-wise, at least, he had a strong first round. Even with Thompson.
I think eyeball, everything. He was a force in the first round.
Scored a big goal in Game 6 early. I don't know. Can you figure that one out?
The Tuck one is mysterious because he just seems like his ability to even get shots on goal right now are really hampered, way down. I mean, 7 points in the first series, no points in this series. He's been on the ice for goals against quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, with Thompson, I feel like we've seen some evidence that maybe we can conclude that there's something wrong because he is a guy that literally can go through guys with his stick handling ability. We know his shot is lethal, and we've seen evidence that he's not being able to do that. He's losing control of the puck, and he's maybe not able to, as we saw in that breakaway, lift it, and that could maybe indicate that physically there's something wrong. But with Tuck, I haven't seen anything like physically that would say, okay, he looks limited in that area. I know Lindy's words last night was about moving his feet. I don't know if there's anything to that. I don't feel like I've seen Alex Tuck look slow necessarily, but he's definitely not generating offensive chances. And I know that top line, even with Krebs, I mean, they've struggled here over the last few games. They're going to need them to be great. I mean, Montreal's best players, even though a lot of their points have come on the man advantage, they are producing right now. And as great as Benson and Doan's story has been through this postseason here, they've got to get a little bit more from somebody else, I feel like, and obviously that would point to that top line to do it.
You don't know what else it could be. I'm inclined. My default setting is to guess back.
Oh, there's back, yeah.
Injury draft. I think he's had. I'm going to put it on the board. My guess on Tuck when we get the locker room clean out, hopefully it's a few weeks away, is some kind of a back injury.
Makes sense.
And it's probably going to sound really bad. Like herniated maybe will be used. I don't know.
Can't move.
I think that
it's Hudson going by him on 3-3.
It's the best guess I have. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe he's just terrible at hockey now. I don't know.
Maybe
that seems unlikely to me. So.
Injury draft, oblique, can't be ruled out.
Right. Pretty scary with Owen Power. I feel like another sort of, I don't know, it's anecdotal, but like another piece of evidence that there are guys on this team that are maybe dealing with injuries and maybe they're pretty serious, is that Power felt like he needed to come back to that game. Because the way he went down, like he could have very easily just stayed in the room. But he not only did he come out, he took a couple of test twirls and then he took a shift, at least a shift. I don't know if even more than that. Man, that was a scary looking injury. And we may not know until you're on the air with pregame tomorrow, maybe even halfway through pregame, whether he's going to be okay to play.
Right. I mean, that would be a major, major loss. Timmins last night, I know, struggled, and Paul thought afterwards that maybe, the fact that he had gotten that maintenance day, that there's something more to that. He looked slow to react. He was late on that goal that ended up being the tap-in at the side of the net that beat Lukin. And I think probably you've got the fact that Lindy doesn't use his last pair in 5-on-5 that much for minutes. And we know the top four skate a ton, as probably in healthy scenarios you would want them to, because they've all been really good. So to me now, okay, if Power is all of a sudden not available,
or even if he is and he's hampered, I mean, maybe that's the best case scenario.
And maybe, as you guys were saying earlier with Thompson, is, well, are you just going to take out Tage because let's say he's at 60% and put in Tanner Pearson? No, because I still think 60% Tage Thompson, if he's able to play, is still way better and a much better threat to maybe do something out there to make a difference. And maybe it'll be the same thing with Power. Like, do you want to reinsert Michael Kesselring? Do you want to reinsert Zach Metza or Logan Stanley and taking Power's spot? I guess Kesselring would feel like the natural replacement if you're looking for what Power does and his abilities and what his strengths might be. But if he's going to end up playing only 6 minutes and you're thinking, well, even if Power is limited a little, if he's still going to be able to give you high teens in numbers, well, then you probably still end up signing up for that in the end here. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there's quite a few players that are going to be in this boat right now, but and is it a Sabre only problem? I mean, maybe all these other teams, I'm sure, are probably dealing with the same thing too. It's just we seem to be focusing on Buffalo so much, so I don't want to make it seem like the Sabres are the only team here that it's kind of the woe is me factor with injuries. Maybe they are on the short end of the stick, but I'm sure all these other teams are kind of dealing with it as well.
Well, if they do make it through somehow, winning tomorrow and Monday, they will have played much longer into the playoff season than anybody else left. I mean, the West Finals is set, and Carolina has won 8 of 8 in the
Carolina
playoffs.
will, as of tomorrow, have been off for a week.
So, yeah, I mean, let's find out. But their state of affairs going into round 3, if we get that far, we might really wonder. With Brian Kosiel, did we cover Luukkonen well enough here? Just, Brian, like, were you on Team Luukkonen for that game? Were you, I mean, disappointed? We all were, I think, probably. But how surprised were you that happened?
Yeah, I mean, if I was able to make the decision myself, I would have went with Lyon. I just like him just a little bit more.
Okay.
And for the argument of the rotation, if you would have said, hey, we're going to continue with this rotation, then it could have been Lyon last night, Luukkonen game 6, Lyon game 7. Like, I would have been on board for that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally understood why he didn't change the lineup at all, because it's kind of what you do, right? The goalie has an outstanding game. He seemed as though he progressed even and got even better as the game went on.
Yep.
And he ends up with a first star. Like, there's not really a strong argument to sit there and say he has to come out. And I know probably me saying, I would have went with Lyon. It's probably, easy to second guess after this is over with at this moment. But now I think we've probably seen the last of Luukkonen for sure in this series. If the Sabres advance, maybe he can come back into play. But obviously, Lyon tomorrow, if they advance, they're going to come back with him, I would think 100%. And if they lose, well, obviously there are no more games, so we're not going to see him anyway. So I think it's Lyon series the rest of the way for sure. Couple of the goals early on, it didn't matter who was the goaltender. I think those were just tap-ins with poor coverage. And the power play goals, in some sense, I don't love the goals that are against, but they're still power play goals with a lethal power play. So at the end of the night, is Luukkonen the number one reason they lost? My answer is still no to that.
All right. Want to talk some golf?
Sure.
Good. How dare you?
You guys are sitting in a good spot in our bets. However,
it seems like you got Scheffler, you got a group like Justin Thomas. You got guys that are they're definitely within striking distance.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Koepka choice. Maybe I thought reaching a little bit for that, and if he's made any putts, he would probably be up on be up higher. But having Scheffler within striking range, with the fact that the leaders right now are so unproven in majors, and it's only Friday afternoon, I still feel like I'm in it. I don't know if you said, would you want to trade spots? I think I'd still give you guys the slight edge as of this moment, but I think having Scheffler still feels like I've got a major card in the mix here. But the putting has been really bad for a lot of these guys. Scheffler talked today about how the pin placements have been super difficult. I saw a stat, too, that it said 6.2% of all holes that, obviously they go up to putt on has resulted in a 3 putts, and it's the highest in over 60 years at the PGA Championship. So I did tell you, though, that these are big greens, so maybe that does set up for more 3 putts, but it also – they've been really, really difficult pin placements, and Scheffler's saying, like, you can only do so much. He's like, you might be sitting in a prime spot, and people are watching thinking, like, hey, you've got 130 from the dead center of the fairway. Why were you so off there? And he's saying there's certain holes you just can't attack. He's like, if you miss it by a yard, he's like, you're going to end up taking a double bogey. So maybe that's why the scores are down so much here right now. I don't know if that's Scheffler's plea, because he does have a lot of power in the game to say, hey, let's get us some easier pin placements going into the weekend. But that's what's obviously happening at this moment is guys are struggling around the greens, and the putts even on the shorter ones. We're seeing a lot of short missed birdies. I think it's that these guys are really struggling trying to get themselves up the leaderboard right now. It feels like a little bit more of a U.S. Open grind here through the first 2 days.
Would they change the plan? I'm assuming pin placements are planned ahead of time, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Would they change them if the players, maybe you're saying Scheffler has enough sway? Would they change their plans?
They can. And they do have a map out. They do have it mapped out, but they can change it. It's not locked in. They will do day by day. And the reason they also don't put out all 4 rounds ahead of time is because weather can change and conditions can change. So, if all of a sudden the greens start burning out, and they're like, well, we can't put that in there anymore, or they get overly wet. So they do have a plan over the 4 days. The PGA of America will do that, and their team will say this is kind of where we wanted round 1, 2, 3, 4. but they can vary it a little if they feel like it needs to be. So maybe that'll be talked about going into tomorrow.
So the leader now is McNeely. He's 5 under and still playing. I've got him through 11 right now. And you've got a group of guys. I'm not looking at your list, but I'm pretty sure you've got Young, Thomas, and Scheffler. They're all at 2 under. And then next, I think, is Koepka at 1 under, and he's still playing as well.
Sorry, go
that's
ahead.
The lay of the land. Anyway, that's the bet.
And McIlroy is at 2 over, so I think he's going to make the cut, but he's still got a lot of work to do to really become a threat.
He's 6 behind, though, only. Like, I heard today that the biggest gap from first place to the cut in a major, I'm sure this is all time, but like not since 2013, maybe, or one PGA year going back a decade or more, had an 8-shot difference between first place and the cut. And it's 70 in ties in this tournament. So as long as you're in the top 70, tied for top 70, you make the cut. Right now, it's 7 only between -4, or if 5's now the lead, McNeely, like you said. It's in that same ballpark.
Right.
Is all. Like McIlroy is, it sounds like we're going to talk about make an NHL playoff point when you're only 4 points out of the playoffs, but there are 5 teams ahead of you. Like McIlroy is tied for 46th, but he's like 7 shots out of first place. Not dead is the point.
Right.
And the back 9 is the one that's been more scoreable, and it looks as though conditions are getting easier here than the later afternoon. So, he's still got a majority of his back 9 to play here. So maybe Rory can get it to even or 1 under, and then he becomes a story going into the weekend. I am happy that I did not take DeChambeau. He was when I went on the air with you guys, he was tied for 131st and +9. So he's just hitting it all over the place.
Yeah.
The approach shots are disastrous, and
he's going.
It looks like he'll now miss the cut in a major for the second time because he was a disaster at Augusta too.
Well, it might. You mentioned like the scoring of the back 9 guys that are playing right now. The wind looks like it's really down. Earlier today it was windy, and I had seen the forecast that sort of indicated there were 20+ mile an hour winds called for all 4 days. But right now, I'm just looking at the screen, like it does not look that raucous wind-wise. The flag on the last green that they showed was pretty still. So there might be an opportunity before play closes out today for guys to make some noise.
And I think, obviously, there's still tomorrow you go into this and now all of a sudden you're paired up. These guys that are up at the top maybe have never been in this spot before. So whatever that's worth, there's a little bit that in play, which I feel like, Koepka's, Justin Thomas, there's all these guys that have won majors, Scheffler, that's got to have a little advantage for them going into the weekend. Alex Smalley and, you mentioned some of the other guys at the top right now, McNeely. This is going to be new territory for them. Yep. They've got to wake up, and they're going to have to sit on being in one of the final groups here for probably 7 or 8 hours before they actually get out there and tee it up tomorrow. They're not going to be playing at 7 a.m.
Who has more fun than people?
Speaking of 7 a.m., that's when Tee to Green takes the airways. And have you got a special show for tomorrow because of the PGA going on?
Yeah, we have 2 hours tomorrow, major week, as we do, which is exciting. We'll be at the Western New York PGA headquarters. We're going to talk with Chris Kalinsky, who worked for the PGA of America, Western New Yorker, about how you can maybe get a career in golf. And also, familiar voice, Tim Freeze, PGA Pro and owner at Glen Oak. He is at the PGA Championship there at Aronimink in Philadelphia, and he's going to join us in the second hour at 8 o'clock. He's been doing what he has been in the past. He is one of the starters that announces, on the tee from Northern Ireland, Rory McIlroy. He's doing a little bit of that and helping with some of the scoring, and he's been walking inside the ropes. So Tim is always great when we're on the shows at Glen Oak, so I'm excited to talk to him tomorrow as well.
Love Tim, longtime friend.
Yeah, you hooked us up with him last year from the U.S. Open, was it?
Or this.
It might have been, I think it was from the PGA last year when he was there,
Yeah, I remember he was fantastic.
Quail Hollow.
Great talking to him, yeah.
All right, Brian, working morning and night. How about this guy? On a weekend, on a Saturday. Look at you, Brian. Enjoy,
and I'll also throw in a plug and the middle. I have Batavia Downs 2 to 5 show. It'll be
look at you.
Morning, noon, and night.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go to bed after I hang up with you. So.
Brian is a walking, talking sports thunder.
Good thing for you the game got pushed to 8 o'clock tomorrow. Right, good. All right.
I've got a little gap in between Batavia Downs and pregame. So, yes, it'll be some good times tomorrow. But you know what? I said, hey, I've been doing Sabres forever, and I said I'm always jealous that I'm not on the air during these playoff games, and all these other people are. I'm like, it's finally here. I am not going to complain that I'm tired.
Hey, with that said, I just want to say in front of everybody how much I appreciate you and Paul. Really, you're the main guys that have sort of. And I know there's other people, Pat Malkow, your brother, even Rob and Dan to an extent. But just thanks for looking out for the kid and giving him room here during this playoff run. It's meant a lot to him, and it's been really cool for me to watch and listen, as a dad and a broadcaster.
Yeah.
So thanks for all the help you've given.
Oh, for sure. And he's given us a great, unique perspective too. So it's added to the broadcast as well.
Thanks for doing nothing for my children, by the way. Also, Brian.
There's
Really
still time.
appreciate that.
They're younger than mine.
Thanks a lot.
Sorry, Mike.
All right, busy day tomorrow. Thanks for your time today.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Brian Kosiel on the West Her Hotline. Tee to Green tomorrow morning. I mean, what a lineup. You have Brian, and Brian.
Right.
Tomorrow. Well, we're at Porch Fest.
Right. I'm just gonna be
not a good word doing.
I'm going to be walking around the Elmwood Village with open containers while Brian pulls a triple shift.
Look at this. Brian's covering the United Football League doubleheader.
Right.
All right. Still time for your calls here on the game last night and the Sabres' chances. What's up with Tuck and Thompson? Lucan and Falters, 803-0550. You giving them a chance to get back to Monday and even win then? Let us know. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Folks, Bulldog here.
The Sabres have to win 2 in a row to win their series against the Montreal Canadiens following last night's loss. Montreal, of course, now does hold that 3-2 series lead. Game 6 tomorrow night in Montreal. For more on yesterday, Paul Hamilton, of course, has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. But there was some good news from the injury front today. Head coach Lindy Ruff said Owen Power spoke with him this morning, and Power said he felt better than expected, and he was receiving treatment when the media was speaking to Ruff today. We'll see if we get any more information tomorrow. In terms of games tonight, there are none. Vegas punched their ticket to the Western Conference Final last night with their win over Anaheim, but some news for Vegas today. They are being docked a second-round pick, and head coach John Tortorella is being fined $100,000 for violating the league's media policy last night, and Vegas has already been warned previously. We're on to day 2 of the PGA Championship, and we do have a new leader at the clubhouse, Maverick McNeely. He sits at 5 under, and he is alone at the top of the mountain so far. And then a full day of baseball. Bisons host the Woo Sox just after 6 o'clock. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520, while in the majors, Blue Jays are at Detroit at 6:45. And then we've got a 3-game Subway Series starting tonight as well. The Mets host the Yankees at 7:15. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Yeah, we let some tough goals in. They got some life back. Yeah, it was tight, but they kind of took over in the second, and we didn't have a really answer. So we got to regroup here and focus on the next one.
Rasmus Dahlin. We get back into the Sabres here. Just one quick note. Brian Kosiel mentioning Tim Freeze joining his Tee to Green show tomorrow morning. The owner at Glen Oak, 7 letters with an oak. Glen Oak. And wouldn't you love to own Oak Hill, by the way? Anyway, Tim.
That'd be pretty nice.
I met Tim when he was at Transit Valley.
Maybe someday.
And he's had a great career in golf locally. Yes, maybe maybe that's next. You flip Glen Oak into Oak Hill. But he has played in PGA, probably has. I don't know. There is a club pro who made the cut, at least one. A guy out of Columbus named Ben Kern.
I think I saw him being interviewed.
Okay.
And I really felt him. I've never seen this person before.
Sure.
I'm not even positive it was it, but it wasn't. It was not a PGA Tour player that they were talking to. So I'm guessing this was the guy. And every time he went to answer a question, it sounded like he was about to cry because he could not believe he's in this spot, that he's here and this is happening, and it's just so important to him. And I know I can be that way. And I just watching, going, oh, dude, come on, you can do it. You can get through this. But his voice was cracking, and he was very, very emotional.
Well, there was Michael Block. Speaking of Oak Hill, wasn't it at Oak Hill? The club pro, Michael Block, who made it into contention on Sunday. He's at 5 over, so he's probably going home. This Kern is 1 over, and he leads the tournament in birdies. Through 2 rounds.
This is the guy I saw talking then, because whoever it was, Jeff Darlington, I think, that was talking to him, or no, Marty Fish, I think, is there with ESPN. Marty Smith. Sorry, I said Fish.
That's a tennis player.
Okay, all right. I'll give myself a little leeway. Yes, Marty Smith. Reddish hair, beard. Yeah. Anyway, he said that nobody has more birdies than you in this thing.
Marty Smith's the guy that got Josh Allen to say something.
Okay.
Once.
Yeah.
Which, no small feat.
That's the guy that he does that. You're not going to get this because you've never watched it, and I haven't watched it at all this year or during the season. But that indoor golf thing, I think he's involved in that. He's the sideline reporter for that.
Sure.
So it makes sense he'd be on ESPN, their coverage of this.
Thing about this guy from Columbus is a 6. He plays at a 6. That is not PGA Championship quality.
No.
He said he plays once a week. He's a 6 handicap. Brian might be a 6 handicap. Chris Trapasso is better than that.
I had my handicap down to a 9 last year.
Okay, look how close you are.
What is happening?
I know he's a 6.
That's amazing.
The closest friend in my life I've ever had, who was the best at golf, Paris, played at a +4. So if you were a scratch golfer and you played a handicap match with him, you would get 4 strokes.
Right.
as a scratch golfer.
Right. Which is
like,
yeah.
Okay.
You're playing someone really good.
That's 10 he's not that anymore, I think. I don't really know, but that's 10 shots better than this guy.
Right.
Who's won over for the 2 rounds.
I'll imagine this guy's playing a higher caliber of golf course than I'm playing
yes,
post
maybe not
scores.
my friend.
So, no, right, but still. So anyway, I don't mean to compare myself to this guy, but like just
though.
That's a high it's a high number for someone who's playing well at the PGA Championship. Like he's going to play on the weekend, right?
He qualified.
Michael Block, I read leading into this, like, this is it. Like, whatever he did the last time when we first got to know him runs out this year. Like, this is, like, his exemption or whatever it is will end. So
he did shoot 70 yesterday. 75 today. Mike is with us. Hello, Mike.
Yes, good afternoon. I don't know. Luukkonen just continuously just proves that he's not ready for prime time anytime. Basically, this is the story of his career with the Sabres. You know, he'll have stretches. He'll have plenty of opportunities to take the number one goalie, job, and he continuously, fails.
Yeah.
Almost all the time. I mean, the guy just cannot be consistent. And I guess so. Moving forward, I just want to know: is there any free agents or any trades that either one of you can see that the Sabres can make for an established goalie? And I know that's not easy because teams aren't giving up on established goalies.
Right.
But I'm thinking, with the capital that the Sabres have, maybe they can swing a deal.
It's not something, Mike, that I've thought about at all, but you found a stat or an article.
Yes. James Myrtle from The Athletic posted a piece. I haven't read it yet, but I flagged it for later consumption about how tandems are squeezing in even to the playoffs. And we talked a little bit about this earlier in the week. Colorado's been back and forth once or twice. I think they're back to Wedgwood now. Wedgwood started. They went to Blackwood. He played great in a start and then got pulled in his next start, kind of like Luukkonen just did, and now they're back to Wedgwood. Minnesota played 2 guys. Now they've been eliminated. I'm not sure who else. But, yeah, the point of the article is that among the highest paid goalies, the number of playoff games they're playing does not line up. It's not commensurate with the best goalies aren't leading you anywhere in the playoffs. The highest paid guys, I should say.
Hellebuck, Shesterkin,
right.
Didn't make it.
So, and tandems are more in vogue, and I this is where I got to stop because I haven't read the piece, so I'm not sure what the overall, how much data there is, whatever, but that, and it stands to reason. The Sabres just we've had a whole year of this with our team, watching them, and now in the playoffs, even more of it. And they're going to pivot back to Lion now, so it's a fourth switch. So it might not be as uncommon as it is perceived to be anymore to have 2 guys share the net even into the playoffs.
Well, I should have set that up better for the caller, but the point of my asking you that was the word established. Like what is the standard now, and what does that mean? We did talk about Hellebuck. Was that 2 years ago, or was it last year, where it sounded like he wanted out? It may sound like that again.
Yeah. Well, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Sergei Bobrovsky's a free agent. The Rangers are maybe in what could be an endless rebuild. Do they want to keep paying a goalie 10? Now, that's $10 million for like a million more years too, I think, Shesterkin. But yeah, I wonder like what this will mean to Luukkonen moving forward. Do you get Lions under contract for another year? Do you just, it got us through the year, and yes, the playoffs are a learning process, and we're just going to roll back the same tandem and, hope we get similar results. That's not crazy, but you could, as an organization, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Jarmo Kekalainen is not sitting there watching all this going, I need a guy. I need a guy. Now, you're going to get in line behind Edmonton and whoever else, like, not if there's actually a line, but like, to the caller's point, like Edmonton's been looking for an upgrade in goal for 3 years. And they're firing coaches, and McDavid's signing only 2-year extensions, and they still do not have an answer to that. So it's easier. It's easier said than done. Go get a guy. So I don't know what the future will hold, but a space you could land on is I'm this good now, right? I'm going to keep my decor together, relatively speaking. We're going to keep talk or not keep talk, but like I've got my team. But do I need an investment back there that is more substantial than the $4.5 million or whatever they're paying Luukkonen?
Through 29.
I would listen. Luukkonen's contract is
3 more years.
I'm not positive about the timing of Shesterkin's. I just feel like at one point this year leading up to the trade deadline, my kid might have said something at one point like, maybe you should call the Rangers. Because any goalie, he was hot and bothered about Wallstat, the guy that ended up being the number 1 for Minnesota, because he wasn't playing, and maybe they're in win now mode. Like maybe I can pluck him out of there at the trade deadline and give them something that can help them this year, sort of deal. So he's always thinking about goalies, and at one point he said something about Shesterkin, and I just feel like I went to look at the contract, and it made me throw up.
Well, we'll get to the offseason when we get to the offseason, but I wonder what Lyon has done for himself, other than be the probable opening night starter next season. I think that would say that. We'll see what happens tomorrow, at least.
Right.
It's just not time to decide these things. But Lyon has done pretty well for himself, although he is in his 30s.
Right.
Thanks for the call. That was Mike, who brought up a good topic. Mike Schop and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, welcome back. Here's David next. Hello, David.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
So my question is, what do you think about we just throw Ellis in there for a period? You know, what's the worst that could happen? At least we tried everything we got, you know. I know it would be a cold start for him, but aren't most of his starts cold starts? And I do believe his last one was a shutout. And it might light a fire under the other two guys.
I just never, ever could, David.
No?
But
Yeah. I mean,
it'd be insane to me.
What's the worst that could happen? You would have willfully chosen to play your third best goalie in an elimination playoff game. I would not. I could. No.
No?
It's out of the question.
Out of the question.
David, sorry. It's a terrible idea.
No, we're not on board here,
Did
David.
you take this to your friends before you called us, or is this just like a cold call?
I did.
Yeah.
We were talking about it at work all day.
Yeah. What did they think? Did they tell you were
I
crazy?
thought it was a great idea.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Do you work here?
Yeah.
No. I work here in Buffalo, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just met at the station. Maybe you should.
No, I don't work at your radio station, no.
We're looking for
You would
fresh.
know me better.
Fresh. That's funny.
They let anybody work here, David.
There's probably a lot of people who do work here that I've never met.
I believe that.
There might be. Well,
Same at my place.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for being a good sport. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to Colton Ellis for Game 6.
Yeah,
I'm going to Alex Lyon for Game 6. What has he done that wrong? I mean, his games 3 and 4, 2 and 3, rather,
right,
were like not the worst. They went to Luukkonen. It made sense that they did. It worked out, and now you're going to keep going in that direction, and now you're going back to him.
Right.
So I don't think Luukkonen really, really blew a great opportunity that he had, as you said earlier.
Could have slid up, yeah.
He could have stayed in and maybe gone far, but that was not retrievable. And I think Lyon, who they've won a lot of games with, and it's not that long ago, is I can get behind that. I can get behind that working out, not just getting behind the idea.
Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah.
If you notice a rattle in your ducts or a rise in your heating and cooling bills, give Belknap a ring. With 0% financing, the cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Hell in use. Learn more at belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy, and save money with Belknap. Schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring, 688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring.
I'm glad you got that in. Let me set the record straight so there isn't any confusion. It is exactly what I thought with Shesterkin. We were talking about Shesterkin. We were talking about goalies, ideas, outside of, the guys they have here. And I thought last time this came up, I looked up the contract and it made me throw up, and it's very vomit-inducing. He's under contract through the 32-33 season, at which point he will be 37 years old, and it pays him an average of $11.5 million.
Okay. Totally money.
Just so you know, that's where you're at. 8 years, $92 million.
How about one more plug for your event tonight?
Right. We're going to run some previously viewed segments here. Yeah, my event is Resurgence Brewing. It's a Ride for Roswell fundraiser, $1 from every Sitmo IPA purchased between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. tonight will go toward the Ride for Roswell fundraising effort. And we'll have 26 shirts is going to be on hand with garage gear and other stuff that they make. And there's, gift baskets and raffles and 50-50 and whatnot. So just come on out and hang out.
Joe Yerdon joined us earlier on his way to Montreal for Game 6. Bleacher Report. That's next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Looking forward to the weekend. Yesterday was Thursday. Today it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR Sports Radio 550. It's Mike Schop and the Bulldog.
We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.